Hello, hello, hello. How is everyone? Hi. Good morning to all of you. I got my coffee in hand. My room's a little messy, so forgive me, please. How's everybody doing? Let me get a nice little warm sip going here. Before I say hello to everyone. Let's scroll to the top here of the good old chat. Let's see. Metal detecting, how you doing there? Ethan, Lorraine, my main man David, and Pedro. How are you all doing this morning? Thanks for tuning in so early. It's awesome of you guys. And then I saw hi Lou. There he is at the bottom. What is up? Hi Lou, how you doing this morning? And Katie, and of course the baby, and cannot forget about Jacqueline. How's everybody doing this morning? It's actually it's cold outside in Southern California. There's a little bit of overcast. I got a window over to my right hand side, which maybe be your left hand side of the screen technically, but my right. Let's see, it's a cold day here. Only 63 in Southern California. Ooh, but it's gonna get warm during the week, so that'll be nice. But I got my coffee in hand. I woke up early for you guys. I made 2 scrambled eggs on my tummy, and I'm ready to review some art. You just got to work, Hilo? I thought for some reason, maybe it shifts depending on obviously the season and holidays coming up, but I for some reason thought you got to work like super early in the morning for work for what you do. So has anybody worked on anything fun this week or plan on working on anything fun this weekend? I did 2 paintings live on Twitch this week just to get my brushes wet. One of them was a tester for what I'll be doing in a Wine Wednesday for a video coming up later on, probably a couple weeks out. It'll take me a little while to edit together. Haven't painted it, but it's an idea what I want to do. I think I'm going to switch up the colors I want to use. But it was a good little run through. I think I'm also going to do the tree line a little bit differently, but we just had fun doing it in a little power hour live on stream. Also, I do it like right here, so I couldn't really hit the right side of my cam as well because my microphone boom arm and mic itself get in the way. And let's see, I worked on a product slash video that will be coming out next week on a product that I use to do my art that I think you guys will like. It's a fun little recommendation if you're interested in something that you can use for your art. It's right around $50. Some people might like it, some might not, but I like tossing out all the products that I use so that way you guys can decide what's going to be good for you. Let's see, what else did I work on? I did another art mystery, which actually I'm really excited about because this one I think is a real good one. That will drop, let's see, Tuesday or Wednesday, maybe even Monday of next week. Will depend. If I can get to 50 viewers, I think, or not 50 viewers, sorry. I am at like 47 YouTube members, maybe 46. I'll have to take a look. It's hard how it calculates it up. It has like an active and deactive side, but it still counts because that might be in a billing cycle. I got a cut on the back of my neck and it's bothering me. But let's see. If I can get to 50, I'll maybe drop it on Monday. I am great, but I have a tendency to flirt with everyone. Guys, girls, whatever I can. You know, plants, cacti. You've been up for 4 hours with the baby? Oh man, that thing's already running your life. You gotta start putting your foot down there, Jacqueline. You did an ocean turtle? That's so awesome. Hey, what is going on? Kitty Smith and Kevin. Hello, hello, hello. How are you guys doing there this morning? So we're going to be doing some reviews again. It seems like people like this. We get to learn from each other, which is always great. We get to see different people's approaches. We get to see different people's levels. One of the reasons I really like doing these reviews is I feel like it also opens us all to a lot more of inspiration and influence, because it's nice to see how people will use certain colors in certain ways, or how they approach a mountain in certain angles or certain perspectives, or perhaps just even try a whole new way with what we're doing. And I feel like that's what's really cool, and I'm always super impressed by what you guys are able to create. And it's inspiring slash bums me out too, because you'll be like, oh, this is like my 5th painting. And I'm like, God dang, that's good. Like, I didn't start getting good at painting till like my 50th painting. Not even good, just like adequate. I guess that's a better word. Adequate at painting. So I know David sent me one. David, what platform did you send me yours on? Some people have been emailing me theirs, which isn't bad. It's just I don't pay attention to it because it's some of my work email stuff first. But I think David did his on Instagram. So as always, we will be doing YouTube members first. That's kind of the perk that you get. So if you're interested, you can always hit that YouTube member button, which is right below, I believe, your chat box there. And you can sign right up. So we got David right there. David, if you had to pick one of yours, which one would you pick? It looks like you sent me... They're all really pretty damn good. You sent me one that's a northern light with multicolors, one that's kind of a forest scene with a soft purple background, and then you sent me a good one, what looks to be like a cove of soft foothills with a big giant tree in the front. So you tell me which one you want, and then I'll grab that. I'll move it over to my folder and put your name on it. Got a lot of people, just to let you guys know, I'm not a big Facebook user, and I don't have my Instagram account attached to my Facebook, or vice versa, technically, I guess how that would work. So I don't get to see all the Facebook messages that are sent to my Instagram that are tied to Facebook, because it makes me want to sync it up, and I can't without going on my computer, and I usually use it for mobile. It's 5 p.m. where you're at, Kitty. Kitty, did you do anything fun with your day, or other than having a great night with me and hanging out? Also, thank you for being here. What do you plan on doing? Or maybe you got some fun plans for this weekend. He's in a 4-month sleep regression. Sounds like my love life. It's in a 4-month regression. You did 2 different lady portraits, one with a flag and one with a Yorkie. You sent me your very first... I remember you sent me an email on one. I know you sent me on an email on one. Hey, what's up, Nella? How you doing there today? How's it going on with you? Pedro, I know you sent me one here too. I got that. I think Pedro only sent me one, so let me grab that and put that to the side. We did one of yours not too long ago, so we'll set that here. All right, grab that, Pedro. You hate mountain? We all hate mountains. The one with the tree. Okay, well, let me grab that one for you, buddy. Let me go back here. The one with the tree looks fantastic, dude. Utterly stunning. All right, David. All right, your name on here. David Fonda. Excuse me, I got to sneeze. Sorry if that was loud. It's on the microphone. Normally I'd mute it, but I'm lazy because I'm typing stuff. Oh, thank you, Kitty. You're so kind, so kind. Hey, what's up, Joylyn? How you doing there today? Hello, hello, hello. You love to see more tutorials on your abstract art. You got it. So, cool surprise. I know we don't have a lot of people in here, but I like to get a sample sizing, which is nice within like real time. So my buddy Tally is in town, and if you don't remember Tally, Tally is one of the awesome artists that have been featured on our channel. When we do some of the color splash arts, we did some of the acrylics with the trees, how to do a landscape like Bob Ross in acrylic paint. And so we're thinking of some ideas to do for more acrylic artists out there. And one of the things we're thinking of doing that would be good for acrylic and oil painters out there is we're going to come up with like these really small basic templates, something that would be like the size of a paper, which is what, 10 by 8, 8 or 11 by 8, or we might do something that's like 11 by 14, something that you can print out and then do some tracing onto your canvas. And so that's one of the ideas we're going to do, where you can paint along. We'll give you like a template, you print it out, you paint along with the video, or you can just do it yourself like a paint by numbers thing. We also want to know, what do you struggle with? Because we have some acrylic artists out here. I like to work with acrylic sometimes as well, of what you're struggling with, or maybe Tally and I can find some other ways to give you some tips and tricks. So if you're thinking of anything, let me know, or if you have anything that you struggle with, let us know. Feel free to pop it in chat or wherever you want. It's the Queen's Platinum Jubilee weekend. I saw that. A little weekend event in the village tomorrow with picnics, games, and live music. That actually sounds really fun. The best part is hopefully there's a lot of delicious food, Kitty. I like when there's like fairs and like oh god, what's another term for like a fair? I don't know, like a parade of some sorts. I love when there's food vendors because I love trying all the different food. Thank you for the bless you. I appreciate it. Yeah, what did you send yours on, Indian? You sent yours on Instagram. Maybe it's under the request side. Oh, wait, maybe yours was one of the ones that was a Facebook message. Those are the ones I can't see. Let's take a look here. How come I'm not seeing yours? I see the turtle, though. The turtle looks beautiful. I would rather do acrylic. I'm having issues with trees and land covering. Okay, so trees and land covering. Thank you for the suggestion. How come Indiana, I don't see yours on Instagram that you sent to me. Oh, wait. No, that's different. Which one's this one? That's Ruben. That's Ray. Yeah, can you do me a favor and can you send me which one you want, Indian? Are you sure it was Instagram? Let me check my Twitter. I'm not seeing one there. Boom, nothing there. I could have sworn I saw it earlier. Was it a timed message and it unsent after a while? Oh, wait, maybe it's under... No, it's someone different. Moon. The name Moon? Yeah, all I have on my Instagram right now... Oh, wrong one. Is, these people right here. So I got Smiley, Ray, Pedro, David, Ruben, Mark, John, my buddy David, and so forth. But under the requests, I got this A-Lamps, Paul, Cheyenne, and Murison. So I'm not seeing anything from a Moon there. So can you just send me another one and I'll grab it real quick and then I can put it up in like our queue of what we got going on. I'll be more than happy. Carnival, there we go. Nice little carnival. And then when it sends through, I'll grab it. But we can start with David, because I know I promised, I believe, David from last time. So let me grab his, pull it over here. And we can start with our very first review. All right. Grab David's, pull it over here. Let this load up, enlarge the image size. All right, so if you guys have never been here for a review, it's really fun. It gets to show you different stages of people's art, get some insight, and I kind of just give like some easy tips or some perspective and feedback and a little bit of criticism, obviously, to help you have a better time painting. And this is an open forum here. I just realized I have my paper towel sitting there on the ground from when I was painting earlier. I should put those back. It's an open forum. If you like something about the painting, let David know in a nice way. If there's something you don't like about the painting, let David know. Give some insight. Give some feedback. That's what we're all here for. And if you have any tips, tricks, hey, we're all here to help each other out, but you can always let the person know about, anything about their art. That's the cool thing about this, and it's fun. So let's take a look here. I got to move this to the other side. I got to switch my other reviews back. So we've got a beautiful painting here from David. I know David let me know. I think this was like an 18 by 24. David, do you also mind letting us know, if you had to take a shot in the dark, what number painting do you think this is? This number 5, number 10? Give us a number in the chat so that way everybody has kind of like a idea of how long you've been painting for. Or you could say number of years, whatever it is. But this one's looking really great. So we got a beautiful, like I was saying earlier, I guess you'd call this like a little foothill cove, soft foothill cove, leading into a nice waterfall here with our distant tree line, some fading clouds in the background, and then a very forced foreground perspective, which looks very good. I love the different saturation and colors and contrast here that really push this landscape back. You know what I'm going to do really quick? Let me take my camera, and I'm just going to, oh, no, I don't want that. I'm going to cut this in really quick so you guys don't have as much of me here. Let's just shift me over. Let's lock that in here. Take my camera anchor and let's shrink this up a little bit. Wait, why can't I move my camera anchor? There we go. Move my camera anchor over. There we go. We don't need to see as much as me. I'm not the important part of this. This is for the handsome people out there. It is very nice, Linda, isn't it? Okay, so let's take a look what we got here going on. I got one question for you, David, that I want to give maybe a piece of advice on for when we get to it. Hey, what's up, KR? You lied to me. You said you were at work. Thank you for tuning in. I appreciate it. So, it looks like back here beyond your waterfall. I know this is hard for some of you to see. Let's zoom in a little bit. Maybe you guys will be able to see it. Right here, it looks like there's some brown. Was there eventually like a hill or mountain here? It looks like there's a little bit of a shading of something. I'm just curious. Just curious. If not, it's okay. Just really, really quick. Thank you for resetting it. Remind me at the end of this, and I'll grab it for you, okay? So let's create a different layer here, just in case I write over things. Let's get my colors ready. Get a nice little red, and then let's switch it up here. I guess we'll get a nice little, let's do like a green. Green stands for good, red stands for bad, just like you were doing. So first of all, I love this, David. This is very good, very good. I think you did a fantastic job, and you should be extremely proud. So the first things I noticed that are a little wonky about your painting is I always try to teach people, and you don't have to do this. Again, this is a personal appeal, but I do believe it adds value to the painting, is when you're an artist or a painter, you really get to craft your landscape into focal points of what you want. Now, obviously, we can say that your focal point is generally here, and then you got a forced perspective focal point right here, okay? So you did a great job of creating focal points and a perspective that is pushing your eye here from this foreground area, almost like we're in the environment. So to enhance this perspective of our eye being focused to the center, you should learn to use contrasting shades. And to do that, you want to create a vignette from these corners that push our eye into here. And it's very easy to do, David, because all you need to do when you're first creating your background here is just add a little more blue in these corners up here, and then eventually just start pushing and blending them down in this general direction. Michael, thank you for the sub. Love, I appreciate it, my friend. So when you do that, it's going to create that little vignette that pulls in the darker into the lighter, so your eyes trained to look to that bright spot. The eye is scientifically and evolved to always look for the brightest spot. It's a survival mechanic that it has. So if we can create the brighter spots down here, it's going to go looking into that general area. Okay, so that's just the first piece of advice I would do when creating your sky, and that's just adding a little bit more color in. So just put in your blue, fade it down and in, and then just go back and tap in, and just literally you could like tap, just add little sparks of darker blue or whatever color you want to use, and then go in and blend that in with a 2-inch brush, and that way it will dissipate into that area, and then you can pull that down in it. Very easy to do. And if you're going to use blue, you only need a little bit. But I would say pretty good for the sky in general. Like, you got some clouds that I think get a little bit away from you a little bit, because you have these beautiful natural blends that you have going over here, it looks like, from your canvas side, but then you got a cluster of paint that's going up in here that doesn't have too much of a division between it, okay? So when you make this forming of cloud right here, and then you made this forming of cloud right here, you probably, it looks like you put these two layers on at the same time. I don't know, I can't say. However, when you're making this cloud, you should have finished and then blended out the bottom and then left a tiny bit of blue right here, and then you could have put in this next layer. So this way there would be separation. So this layer of clouds and this layer of clouds needs a layer of blue, just a slight layer of blue between it so it stands out. Otherwise, I would say you could probably just eliminate the clouds, and when you put in your sky, just leave like gaps of white, and then when you take your 2-inch brush and blend, it's going to look like a natural fading of cloud in there, and you don't have to put as much paint on, which would actually be way easier for you when it comes to applying your tree line, because you can tell your trees are a little skimpy. But it's not bad. I love the lay of the land. It's so unique. So if I was going to do this myself and I had some time, didn't mean to delete that layer, I would have just this cluster of tree right here is beautiful. Since it's so good and so distant, I would have added more of it back here, and probably some here and some here. So that way it creates a further plane. Then you could put these palm trees, these pine trees in front of that layer, and that would build more depth. The beautiful fadingness that you did on this, the misting and the fading out and tapping out that you did, looks very well, and you should have pulled it all the way across this side on both ends, and it would have added to the illusion of a little more depth that you have, okay? Then you could have put a couple of these pine trees, and I probably would have just kept it to like 2. So 2 here and maybe 1 here to keep it balanced for a rule of 3. And that's all I would have done. Keep it very simplistic. I'm sure you probably did a lot of trees because you want to practice on them, but it's easier to practice on trees when they're more in the foreground up here because you can be a little more heavy-handed. Background trees can technically be really tough if you suck at trees because I can already tell you don't have a good amount of application. You don't know your colors just yet. Like, these trees are the same color as these trees, and that shouldn't happen. This tree is nice and bright, or lighter in saturation value, which it should be because it's further in the distance, so because more light pollution is coming down and blowing it out with how much intense light is hitting it. So I would say if you were going to do this, David, just do like 2 trees here, 1 tree here, and then do it in this lighter color, and then we can work on doing some trees here. But the flow of this is beautiful. Now, if you're going to do a waterfall, waterfalls, every waterfall in the world is level with the environment that it's in. There's no such thing as a waterfall that cuts this way and no such thing as a waterfall that cuts this way. When it comes into a funnel, yes, it will have a channel that directs itself that looks like it, the bottom side or the top side of a heart, you know, that goes, or that's a shitty heart. You'll have like something that looks like a heart, you know, that comes over like this. And these 2 points are the water. But all water is level because of gravity. So you should just take this and flatten that out and then just have the spills that come over. Let's do it in red because it probably stands out better. And have the spills that come out just like that. It'd be a little more even, okay? Or you could take your fan brush. It's hard to show here on a 2D platform. But push it in, let the bristles bloom, and then pull and swatch down. And it'll pull into a evened out bellowing effect. And that'd be a lot easier. Now, when you do your waterfall, there's a multitude of colors that happen within a waterfall because light is hitting specular highlights within it. So next time you do a waterfall, David, you need to put in a grounding color. So take a little bit of Prussian blue or whatever darker color you want to go to. Add a little bit of liquid thinner, add a little paint thinner into it, and just put some dark blue back here, and then start painting something else really quick, and then come back, I don't know, 10, 15 minutes later, 5 minutes later, and then take your liquid white with a little bit of titanium white next to it, and then you can put the streaks of white on top. And then you're just going to fade it down, but stop the brush strokes right here. So that way when you pull, they look like strong streaks of that water and churning coming over, but it's going to have those undertones of blue under there. So it gives you that nice specular highlight because you got dark next to light. And that's just a simple swoop of the brush, simple swoop of the brush, simple swoop of the brush. Other than that, I think this background layer looks beautiful. I would probably add, once you had your water go down and in here, David, I would take a paper towel like the ones that you saw behind me, wipe off this section right here really, really good, and go back and add white titanium paint and dab in and tap in on these sections here. So that way it looks like the mist is flowing up from the splashes of water. And then you'll have that. I can tell you did it, but it's all muddy because you have these grass layers and brown layers of, you know, the distant rocks, let's say. So this is too muddy. So, which is why you would take that paper towel and wipe it off and then add that mist. But you did a great job of flowing these layers in, coming from the right and the left. I would say your left side is way stronger than your right side here. So, because this kind of comes down and in and then kind of like fades in a weird way. It's almost like a rounded hill, which technically could happen. But this one like falls into the lines of the land into this valley cove here. It looks a lot better. So I would say probably mimic what you've done on the left side to the right side to some degree. Rather than come down on this giant hill, you could create just a cliff, but then you could cut in front of this cliff with like the laying of land like that, and that would help out a lot more with the flow. And again, it's all about those focal points of lines leading to where you want to direct the eye. Mixing colors is very difficult, especially when you have background layers. So what I probably want to not strive, the point I'm going to bring across to David is when you're creating background layers, everything should be lighter. And you did a fantastic job with that, David. You should be very proud. Like, you have very subtle layers that are all lighter in valuation, but they stand out because of how you use the colors. Like, you've got beautiful browns and yellows and greens here that all look like they have different layers to them that light hit, and it looks beautiful. I know this tree's in the way for someone, but like, look at this little layer of yellow here, then this layer of green, which is got this layer of white going across, and this layer of, you know, yellow, and then dark green. It creates all these different planes and values, and it makes it look like there's depth in this painting, and that's beautiful. And you did a fantastic job. I just think you have one side that's way stronger than the other side. And I don't know if this is off a tutorial or anything or a picture, but I feel like you were probably really stuck on copying the image when you probably should just use the image as an influence. And you probably could have just, you know, took what you did here and then just applied over here. It would have been more of a symmetrical piece, which wouldn't have been as good, but I think it would have been a good learning piece. But overall, everything you've done from the background to the midground is pretty damn good. You're very heavy on your highlights here. These highlights shouldn't be as strong as what you have up here. They're pretty close. So a quick trick is when you're making your background highlights, whatever your base color tree is, take 1/4 of that, 1/4 of that, and then mix it into your highlight color. So it's going to knock it down in value, and then just apply it on your tree. One question. Yeah, if you ever got any questions that's directed towards me, and just put @WildCreates, and then that way it'll highlight in the chat for me, and we can take it from there. Is Bob Ross Midnight Black supposed to be purple, or is it just mine weird? No, so whenever your blacks are mid, this is too hard to go into. There's no such thing as true black out there. It's close to. They're getting better with it with the signs that are mid. But black generally has a value that's based on one spectrum or the other, okay? Black is usually on the bluer spectrum, or, depending on what pigment you buy, on the bluer spectrum, or on the redder spectrum, okay? So when you buy things like Midnight Black, Ivory Black, there's another black that I can't think of at the top of my head, but something like a Midnight Black will be hued towards the blue side, but it can have some red in there too, which is why you probably see that purple when you pull it nice and thin or light hits it, okay? When you buy something like an Ivory Black, when you pull it nice and flat and light hits it in a certain light, it'll have a red hue spectrum to it. And that's because it's got a little more red pigment in it. A black essentially is made up of all colors, okay? It's on the additive scale. So to get black, you have to add a bunch of shit into it. Essentially, all colors make black on the additive scale, and that's how paint works. You're adding color to make black, okay? Where white, you're technically subtracting some colors. And then when you're on the subtractive scale, it's like what light is. You have to add all the colors to get white. And then black on the subtractive scale is the absence of color. Those are the two flipping sides of color theory. Hopefully I got those two ways right, but the theory behind them is correct. I always get confused on them too. But that's why you notice certain colors hue that way, which is why there's bajillions and bajillions and bajillions of colors out there. Whenever you go to your local Home Depot, Lowe's, or Sherman-Williams, or Dunn-Edwards, and you see all those color swatches that are on those pieces of paper, that's because it's just different playings of colors of how you equal it. And that's why there's like 100 different blacks, because each will have like its own version of a little more blue or a little more red, or it'll have like a little bit of like green into it to shift the color spectrum a little bit on it. But that's why. Guten Tag from Germany. What's up, Space Jumper? How you doing there, man? How's everything going on with you? There's one black that I've not had a chance to play with it, and it's not Carbon Black, but Carbon Black is a beautiful dark black. It's like, it was a Kickstarter, believe it or not, on Kickstarter. There we go. I'm very good with words. Of a guy who was making pigments, and I really wanted to reach out to him and try it. He was making what was called the darkest black and the most vivid gold, and those were the two colors he was just like passionate about. Because when you buy gold dries really flat sometimes unless you buy a very expensive pigment, which can be tough. But he was trying to make affordable ones. And dude, his black that he painted or crafted in the pigment crushed, dude, it looked beautiful. It was like he was showing demos of him like taking light and shining on it, and like the light wouldn't reflect back, dude. It was like dark. I was like, that's sick. Okay, let's continue with David's painting here. I'm really enjoying this. So the one real strong criticism I'm going to have for you, David, that I think that sucks, and we're friends, so I know you appreciate direct criticism. Your water lines are bad, okay? This one here is good. This one here is good. And this one's okay. This one's misunderstood. But these first, like, 3, 4, 5, whatever these are not great. And that's because I think you didn't know how to apply it correctly. So when I teach people how to do water lines, I can tell you probably put paint on the bottom side of your knife and started scratching it and coming down this way. Now, when it's in the, when it's in the background here, I like my water lines to be faint, and they should because they're in the distance. Not a lot of detail should show through, okay? Excuse me. You should have put paint on the top of your knife and just slightly, like if my hand here is flat, we'll go to the other side here. My hand here is flat, David. You put this little roll of paint right here. You just go in and you slice, and then you just keep lifting your knife ever so slightly to expose more of that roll to the paint. And it's only going to grab a little bit as you come down and you scratch and you go through here. When you do it on the bottom side of your knife, you're putting that roll of paint here so you have more control to scratch and move it, which is better used for your foreground because it's going to look like water pools, or it's going to look like water has moved up into a curl of a wave, or wind has moved things around. And you want to save the top of the knife for this because it's going to put just a little bit of water line in here, okay? Especially like here, like you have a little too much. This is a little further in the background, so we shouldn't notice it. If you put these water lines up here, we'll notice it more because it's closer to us. And I would probably take a fan brush and fade these out ever so slightly so it pulls into the center so it looks like light has hit that and glossed over that little part of water there. But that's like the only really bad thing I notice about your painting. Okay, let's talk about this section right over yonder. Oh, whoops, you guys can't see what I'm looking at. I'm sorry. Let me go back to the water lines. Oh, god dang it. Now I'm just moving things on this. There we go. So, water lines I was talking about was right here, David. I'm sorry. I didn't realize that was another thing. Put the paint on the top of your knife and scratch down this way, and it'll look a lot better than you can fade it out with a fan brush this way. And it'll really help the appeal and push those water lines back and create more depth in your painting. All right, now let's talk about this section here. That's what I was highlighting, okay? So, I can't really criticize this because this doesn't look too bad of a mound of like moss and grass and bushes that are all leading down into a very nourished spot of wetlands here. So it's pretty good, and I appreciate the grass twigs that you're putting up in here, and I love the highlights. You did a fantastic job of knowing your light source technically isn't defined anywhere. I guess you could say your light source is technically coming down or maybe just slightly from right to left. So you did a fantastic job, David, of only highlighting a little bit of these sections because, yes, your trees would be blocking the light coming in from this side. Yes, your light wouldn't be able to wrap around this edge as much, so they should fade from this left side to the right side. So good job in keeping everything in the correct perspective. The only thing I think that's kind of bad here is we've got a lot of mishmashing of color, and technically I wouldn't know how to fix this because I don't know what the image should look like. It should just have a little more differences and nuances in switching between the values of colors. You technically only have two colors here. You've got a light yellow green, let's say, and a dark-ish yellow green. I think we could have probably added one more value of something, maybe like a little bit of yellow orange or yellow brown to have a transition of colors here to create a separation and then not eat away as much of this black. Remember, black's a color, and that would really create separation of layers that you have going on. And that's it, but it's hard to know. I don't know what the reference photo looks like. I'd have to see what the reference is to see how many layers or separation pieces there are. But all in all, I think this is really good. And by the way, may I say kudos for leaving a little bit of black because maybe you did have some foliage grow over this edge, which would happen in nature, and you have a good separation layer. The only thing I would change is your water is not so level coming across, neither is your land. It's just kind of like a straight line. So next time when you make your land, I would probably just, zag this in on certain angles, and it would help create the illusion of more of like eroded land. Hey, what's up, Jack? How you doing today, buddy? You just watched the $500 mistake video, and I started with abstract acrylics, moved into landscapes, and now I'm planning on returning to more abstracts. The cool thing about art, Jack, is you're allowed to be creative in whatever facet you want, and you're allowed to jump into different styles, creations, experimentations, whenever you want. Don't feel like you have to be dedicated to one side and jump into the other and jump back. Feel free to experiment and have fun. I do it all the time. That's what makes art fun for me. But what kind of abstracts you working on, dude? All right, let's talk about the biggest elephant in the room is your trees. Now, your trees aren't great, okay? But I see light at the end of the tunnel. Because let's just not talk about these ones because they're background trees, okay? Let's talk about these bad boys right here. These bad boys right here have a light at the end of the tunnel. Except this guy. This guy sucks. We don't talk about this one. This one's a misunderstood tree, okay? That guy's had some better days. But these two trees right here have light at the end of the tunnel. You have very good, I'm going to do it here on my mouse, very good zigzag shape as you come down and across like this. Very good brush control. And you probably don't think so, but I do. Because it's starting to form into very good spots. The thing that you're failing on is the application of paint to your brush and the viscosity / flow of that paint. You're not putting the correct pressure and you don't have the correct texture and viscosity and flow of the paint. So when you're applying it, you're getting these bare spots and scratch spots and spots that aren't sticking and have transparencies in your paint. So it looks kind of weird. You need to mix up the correct amount of paint. So next time you do something like this, over exaggerate till you get a little more comfortable, David. I would probably take, if I were you, I would take a mixture of sap green, phthalo or Prussian blue, whatever you got available, and a little bit of Van Dyke brown. And it's going to make a very dark, dark green. And that's fine. It's going to help you make fuller trees to where you can then grow from there. And I want you to take that combination, depending on the paint you have, you may have to add a little bit of flow medium. Gamblin solvent-free gel, a little bit of liquid clear. Not necessarily liquid white because that'll dilute the combination, but you could even do a little bit of paint thinner, even though that'd be a little too thin for what I would probably use for here, but you can do that as well. It works perfectly fine. And you want to make a not full creamy. If you could take the scale of the word creamy and make it like 1/8 creamy, that's what I want. And I want you to mix that up very well. It should have ever so slightly a whipped peak for when you take it on your palette knife. Then load your brush up, and I mean load your brush up, and then wiggle it through so the paint comes all the way to the ends of your fan brush there. And you've got this nice formed brush. Then you come in and you just start slowly tapping in and zigzag down and zigzag left and zigzag right and zigzag left and zigzag right and so forth, and fill the body and fill the body. And that darker color is going to really help you shape that tree to be bodied and full. Then when you want to go apply your highlight, if it's a winter scene, just take liquid white. It's going to be perfect because it's going to be snow. Or take a combination of cadmium yellow and a little bit of liquid white and make that just creamy. Just a nice creamy paint. Wiggle through with your brush and just get a little bit on the edges, and wherever your light source is, tap, 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 and you're good. And you're going to have fuller trees that are going to be a lot easier to stick to your canvas so you can move on. Trees are very frustrating, but I've learned from my experience, it's all about finding the correct viscosity of paint within your brush, so that way when you push, it just comes off and sticks. And it's nice and bold and dark, so that way you can build highlights on top of it. Then you can work on changing the formula of making background trees that's a lighter value and scale. Oh, well, then use your lefty side. You like the $500 mistake painting too? Can you do a step-by-step tutorial on a smaller piece? I sure can. I've done a couple of acrylic flow paintings, but that was the first one I did gold/copper leaf on. Even if it's with your left hand, it's fine. You just flip what I say for you. But you did a good job with the shapes on these. I can tell with the zigzags that you got going on here that you're starting to get everything to slowly click. And you did a good job because look how it starts nice and thin up here and then gets a little fat bottom on it, which is great. And you add nice little trunks and you pulled the top of the needle, whatever you call this little tip here, all the way to the top, and it looks great. For what you did here would be the same criticism on here. I would say you could probably have... It's hard to tell what you were going for. I don't know if these are grass, small bushes, and plains. I can, with my eye, you get the illusion of different layers here, but I think you could probably form a little bit more of what you wanted, and it's tough. If you're freehanding this, it's hard to figure out what you want in the land. That's why I would say probably use the reference photo as kind of just like influence, not a direct recreation. And then for your tree here, now to be honest, since you're a beginning painter, trees are very, very tough. You did a fantastic job of forming your trunk and base. And then even some of these beginning branches as you come out look very good. Very, very good. I am impressed. But the paint color that you used is not dark enough. It's diluted by all the layers that you have down and back here. So what I'd probably recommend is next time you do something like this that you know is going to go on the spot, scratch off this entire area so that we expose more toothing on your canvas, and take a very, very, very dark Van Dyke brown. So you can take like, Van Dyke brown is dark to begin with, so you can take that and dilute it down with like some paint thinner so it'll come on here a little easier, maybe add a little black so you got a dark base, and just start forming your tree. And you did a very good job of all of this. Like literally this flows so good, and you kept it nice and balanced, and you let it get too away from you. The thing that we need to work on is your branches, and I suck at branches, dude. It's all about finding the right, again, consistency of paint and that filbert, or not filbert, script liner brush. You got to load it up and treat it like a fountain pen, and just kind of like scribble out and like the brush kind of bend in certain directions and then whisk out, and then like kind of whisk out. When you're doing branches, I would just do shorter branches to start with, because doing long branches is very tough. And just kind of like scratch and wiggle out, and only do like just a couple as you work out, and then you can build up to it. And then you did a decent job. With your highlight side. Like obviously you dedicated your light here, so you got your highlight here, and then you got your shadow here. The only thing I would probably do to help fill this is you need to add a little bit of shadow in here, and then you need to put your light highlight side here. And then you need to put another light side here because the root's coming down and across. So then shadow, little bit of shadow, and then big shadow. So that way it really, really forms with bark on this area. Remember, this is our most foreground element that we have in our painting. Whoops, that's the wrong thing. This right here is our most foreground element in our painting, so it needs more detail within it. And you can create the illusion of bark by just taking your palette knife and just scratching in certain sections like you did here and here, but you need it to go across your entire tree. So just go back and just scratch in those certain things, or even you can dab them in with an angled shader. But if you can add some detail on the roots, it's really going to pull it together, dude. But the formation of your front tree is very, very good. Jack, you like doing splatter and drip abstracts. The last painting I did by putting a canvas on an old spinning record player and drip paint on. Oh, nice. Very Jackson Pollock-y of you. I like doing fun stuff like that too. I always like to consider myself, I don't consider myself an artist, more of a splasher of colors and consumer of whiskeys. And that's how I created most of my art. All in all, David. Oh, and this right here, I would probably let's see. This one down here on the bottom for your water knife. It looks very weird how you just got one kind of like scratch coming across, like there's water in the center. I would probably, I would do like a scratch here and then flip the knife and do one on this side, because obviously water goes behind this hill here. It's not like this water is defining the bank right here. So water would technically be behind here as well. So you could move this a little more over here. So scratch from right to left and put in one water line. And technically before you put your hill in, you'd have to scratch from left to right anywhere up here and put one water line in. So that way it looks like the water's forming in different angles, and that would balance it out. And then you can take your fan brush like we talked about here. Let me zoom in so you can see this, and I'm not blocking on my head. Sorry, you're going to get or let's get it before the lines get here. Take your fan brush or filbert and or an angled shader, and the parts where it's not the crown ridge, just grab and just blend out this way, 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 blend out this way. And what that does, it's going to pick up the undertone of colors underneath here, right there, and then it's going to look like water's forming up and blending into that side and creating a little crown. It's going to look beautiful. This is a good one. I'm very impressed, David. Very impressed. The colors and flow just work. Like, If you look at a distance, you can tell this whole painting comes together beautifully. You did a great job. Great job. You should be very proud. Very, very proud. This is actually a very difficult painting if you think about it, because you got multiple layers here. You got one layer here. You got one layer and one layer here that form into an element. You got a waterfall here. Then you technically got one layer here. This one's covered up by the mist, but it's fine. Then you got a defined layer here, and then another defined layer here. You got a lot of things going on here, dude. That's a lot of layers for a beginning painter. So congratulations. Congratulations. I think the biggest tip I could probably give you is just working on the viscosities of your paint, so that way you can start to form really solid foundations that are creating better contrast to direct the eye of where you want it to focus. And that's just going to take time and learning the paints, and I still struggle with it all the time. Hey, what's up, Just Eli? How you doing there? Oh, you're welcome. I'm glad. Thank you, David, for allowing us to take a look at your art and have fun with it, and, you know, having the courage to share it with us all. It's always nice to see what people do. Oh, I use my right hand for everything. I tried painting with my left a little bit just for fun, but I can't do well. It was just for experimentations. Oh, grab India's painting. Thank you, Hi Lou. Alrighty. Let's grab that. Wait, I don't see it. Let me check my mobile. I bet you is it a Facebook message? Yeah, see. On desktop, it does not pull your Facebook message, because this has got to be Facebook. Because look, here's your message on my phone. All right, you know what I can do here? Can I screen grab this maybe? Why is it not showing up on the desktop version? Because I see it from Charlene. Hey, that's so unique. Okay, let me see if I can just email it to myself really quick. Okay, hold on. I'm going to email it to myself. Well, if I knew my own email address, this would be a lot easier. All right, Ryan. I don't know why it's doing that. Digital marketing, thank you for the follows. That's awesome of you. I appreciate it. Okay, boom. All right, painting. It's stupid how for some reason it's not pulling that one up. Wonder why. All right. Let's go back to here. Let me grab, because I can't have you see all my business emails and all the people. Hey, what's up, Gums? How you doing there today? All right, boom. There we go. Grab this painting. Download it really quick. So what's the next thing you think you're going to paint, David? All right. Metal detecting. There we go. Hey, what's up, that YouTube channel? How you doing there, man? You find trees to be very difficult. It's you're not alone. You're not alone. We all struggle with trees. They're a very difficult thing to do. Very difficult thing to do. And it's just because I think we all have in our mind. Well, first of all, Bob Ross gives you a false impression of it making it easy when it's not, but that's what he's there to do. It's just everybody has an envision what their tree should be or what it should look like, and when it doesn't hit that, everybody gets upset, you know? They're like, oh, my trees look like shit, when it's like, they're probably not that bad. Oh, have a good one, Cindy. Thank you for stopping in here. Taking my friend for her birthday lunch. Have a good one. I should have said that earlier. And then somebody asked me, what are the mountains behind you? Are you talking on that one right there? That one right there, baby? Or are you asking somebody else? Excuse me. Also, how is your day going, that YouTube channel? Hopefully you're doing fantastic. Bob makes it look way too easy. Any tips on how to paint with very good acrylic paints? Yeah, you treat them the same. You treat them no differently. The only big difference between very cheap paint to very cheap student paint to very cheap artist grade paint to very cheap professional paints, and let's just keep it all consistent, is how much pigment is in the paint. If we're keeping the same type of paint across, not talking about, you know, watery paint versus heavy body or anything like that. Your baby's just quietly watching me. Hi, baby. Hi, baby. Thank you for the super chat right there, 279. Very unique there. I appreciate it. Thank you so much. Is you may have to apply more paint in certain sections to get more of a saturation value, to get more of a contrast value. So you treat it no differently. That's the only difference, is you may have to apply more layers or more color to get the color that you want, okay? That's really generally the big difference between cheap paints and expensive paints. So you may have to use more paint of the cheaper, which technically can cost you more money depending on what you're trying to do. But one of my buddies, Tally, even painted with that apple barrel paint, which is only a couple bucks for a couple tubes or bottles technically, and you can make some really fun art with cheap paint. You just gotta know how to use it correctly. And sometimes it might be a little more watery, or it might be a little more diluted. So it just generally requires more use of the colors to create the layers that you want. Can you see the mountains behind me? Yeah, are you talking about that painting, baby? That's the one. That was from the 3-minute painting one I did. The amounts are preset for you. So we found out, we were taking a look at this because I was asking my buddy too. If you're sending a super chat, if you're on desktop, there's the slider, which gives you the preset amount. But you can also type in your number. It doesn't really let you know. As long as you click on the number, you can type in what you want. If you send a super sticker, it's a preset amount. Or if you're on mobile, it's a preset amount. Hey, what's up, Ninja? How you doing there, man? I could put you in the queue, Ninja, for the review of art, but we got a few people in front of you. What's the difference you see between Bob Ross and Bill Alexander tutorial? So I actually did a video on this, and you can take a look. I think it's called One of My Painting Secrets. Now, of course, this is my own personal opinion, Nella, is I actually find Bill Alexander paintings to be more approachable. Way more approachable and way more loose. And I actually find them to be better for beginners, okay? I don't think Bill's painting, I think Bob Ross's paintings are a little bit better and more refined. And there's no way of saying like one's better than the other because it's just personal perspective. But Bill Alexander is way more loose, which makes you feel more comfortable, which makes you feel more approachable to what he's doing. Because even times he'll scratch things in, and I'm like, Jesus Christ, slow down, buddy. And he's like, you just throw this one in here, and then it's a beautiful day, and then he just fire it in the middle. And then I remember one time when I was in Germany, and he goes off on this tangent for like 20 minutes, and he's like, I gotta finish the painting, there's only 2 minutes left. He's very, very loose, which I appreciate, because when you have loose paintings and you stand back, you have a more of appreciation for him, of how he builds the land and how you allow your imagination to fill in the gaps, where Bob is way more refined and you feel like you have to add that detail in there. So I would say Bill's are looser and way more approachable. And I don't want to use the term simplistic, but I actually do think they're a little more simplistic to where you feel comfortable. Whereas Bob's, yes, they're kind of repetitive, but I think they're more refined and detailed. So I would say starting with Bill Alexander is a great start point. But Bill does have more, I would say, diverse paintings in his that I like. Okay, let's get the next one up here. Let's get Indian Mining Company. Or Indiana, I guess. How do you get in the queue? You just sent me a piece of your art. And you just send it to me on Twitter or Instagram. All my socials are below, or it's just at Wild for Games technically. But YouTube members get first priority, Ninja, or people that were here first next. Okay, so this is just straight off the Instagram image here. So let's pull this up, switch over to our review side. You sent me one an email? Okay, cool. Remind me. It's right. I swear, in one of my videos, I think it might have been that video where I tell you the painting secret, David, and I go into Bill Alexander. I shit you not. I vividly remember watching one of his tutorials of a painting. I don't remember which one it was or what it was, but he started off with the song. He's like, oh, it's a beautiful day and I feel like painting. And let me regale you with a story first. I was like, all right, cool. He's going to, share a little bit of his personal. I remember when I went to flower field gardens and there was beautiful reds and beautiful yellows. And I was like, okay, he's starting his story. And I went on a canoeing ride and my friend Jason was there and we had all the beers and beautiful times with this guy. And I'm like looking at the tutorial and he's talking for 8 minutes. I'm like, okay, there's not one fucking color on the canvas yet. And he's like, oh, it was such a good day and it gave me the good feelings on the inside. And it made me remember that life is worth living. And so today's colors are going to be red, yellow, and blue. And I was like, dude, it's 15 minutes into the tutorial and the guy had not painted one fucking thing yet. And I was like, Jesus Christ, are we going to get to the tutorial? And then he like took his colors. He's just like splashing about it. I'm sure like the director there was probably like, Bill, you gotta paint. Bill, we're low on time. It was so funny. He was talking forever. And then the painting was actually good. But it was so funny. That was like one of his looser paintings. It was awesome. I was like, that's pretty impressive to make a painting within like 15 minutes or what was probably PBS back then. Was probably like 26 minutes total of airtime you got, maybe 22, 24. So, he painted something within like 12 minutes. Pretty fucking impressive. Alrighty, let's take a look. So this is metal detecting. Yeah, Instagram's a good spot. This is metal detecting. Let me create a layer here. That's always good. Let's push this in. So is this on a canvas panel, metal detecting, or is this on a canvas itself? So we got a beautiful, I'm assuming, black canvas here with a nice little moonlit background with our nice cold mountains, with our tree line, a little bit of a hill, a lake and water, and then we got 2 separations of land. We got some thick paint on this boy. That's a canvas, okay, cool. And then we got a foreground element. So awesome. So let's take a look at what we can have here. Let me just take a sip of water here before I dive into this and tear it apart. So let me just say, I love the texture on this already, but we do have some strong mud mixing problems that are creating some streaks and some blotchiness is the best word I can come up with. Okay. So when we look at the sky that we have here really quick, you have, no. Let's get red because this is bad. You have different splotches going on, okay? And I don't know if you use too much paint on top of your liquid white or too much liquid white to start with, okay? But you have not a smooth transition of colors here because of all the splotchiness. So if I was going to paint this, I would probably use... Oh, thank you, David, for the super chat of the $19.99. Very, very precise number there. Thank you so much. That means the world to me. I'm glad I can help you out, and I'm excited to see what goes on with you. I think I have my wrong alert set up. I think they're set up to my Twitch one, and this one's on my YouTube. I think it was lazy, but I'll fix it for next time. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Actually, I know it's my Twitch one because I got my Bitcoin thing over there. So thank you, bro. So here's what I would do for this starry, stormy, dark night. So if this is a black canvas, put down black gesso. And then for this section, actually the entire canvas actually, I would cover this entire canvas with a phthalo blue, okay? With a phthalo blue. And if you know where your elements are going to be in your painting, like let's just say, for instance, we know this right here, this section right here is going to be our sky to horizon line, okay? So I would take my phthalo blue that I'm putting in, and if I know I am gonna have mountains and all this, I would add blue, or actually here, we'll make this green. Get away, paintbrushes. I would take this, and I would start my streak of blue here, just like that, and then I would work it down, and I'd work it up within this box, okay? So that way I'm gonna have gradients within my blue. And then let's get rid of this box here because we don't need it now. Delete. Then I would take blue and just scatter it here and then paint across if you know how your land is going to lay, because you don't need too much blue over here or over here or over here or over here, but you do need it in your lake because we need to make it for that shine. So that would be the first thing I do, and then I would take a 2-inch brush and blend it all in because you've got that liquid clear coat on top of it. All right, Charlene, or Indian, or I don't know why I keep saying Indian. Indiana. So that way you have that semi-transparent layer. So now when we add color on top of it, you're going to be pulling color forward, okay? So you've got this background, you've got this gesso layer of black. Then you've got semi-transparent color on top of that black, which you can't see. Semi-transparent is going to show the black underneath. Now when you put color on top of that, metal detecting, it's going to be pulling that color technically forward due to that opaqueness of that paint. So when you go and you apply things like white up here in your sky, you just literally need to take a little bit of streak of white paint and just streak, and it's going to start pulling this color forward. All right, and that's all you need. Then you take a 2-inch brush and you start doing some cross strokes like this, or some swoop strokes like this, whatever angles or motions you want to have in your sky, and it's going to start pulling that color forward, and that's going to make you look like you have a cold winter's night that has a little bit of a low hang of color and fog or clouds in there, and it's a very easy effect to do. And then blend everything smooth with a 2-inch brush, and then as you get to like right here, blend really hard. Take your paper towel, wipe it off, go back and do it again, because the whole reason for that is we want to remove as much paint and color here, so that way when you throw your mountains in here, it has an easier time of sticking for this color. Then you can just take your finger or a paintbrush and just rub it in a circle, and that's it. And then you got your moon. So that'll eliminate all the blotchiness, all the streakness, all that thick paint in your sky. And this way you're going to have a beautiful motion of sky. I don't have a reference of one around here, but I can always send you one on like Instagram or Twitter or something. Hey, good morning, Yovette. How you doing there? I haven't gotten back to your comment, but yes, I did get your email. I was a little bit busy. I had a friend come into town and visit me, so I haven't had a chance to indulge in your beautiful art. How you doing there this morning? Oh, I got a nice mention in your last video. I haven't had a chance to watch the one, all of it. I watched like the first 3 minutes or so, or the one where you're painting with your sister, and it's so cute because you're like, today I'm painting with my sister. As you can see, that's her left arm in the top of the frame. And I was like, I always love how casually calm and fun you are in your videos. It's so adorable. Okie dokie. So let's move back to the painting here. So your mountains, I actually like the bold vividness. So if you want to have this super thick highlights and like abstract impasto approach, that's fine. That's your own personal opinion. The only thing I'm going to critique on is the basic foundation of the mountain, okay? And the first problem you have here, metal detecting, let me get my brush up here, is what I like to call the tiger claw effect. But the first problem you have is your mountain peaks are all the same size. Like, look at that. Look, this is literally same height, same height, same height, all right? Same height, same height. And then this one just misunderstood. It goes out the same. See this problem right here? You have everything in the same size and shape. Then the second problem you have is you have the tiger claw effect. You got a line, and a line. Looks like tiger claws just went straight through it. And then same thing here on this side. You have straight line, and then technically on the highlight, straight line. And then again, you have straight line. Nature doesn't grow in straight lines. It has imperfections to it, okay? So when we're coming up in here to the mountain, let's simplify this mountain. I would probably technically only do 2 mountains, and here's how I would do it. I would do it with a shaky hand with a palette knife or an angled shader, or you can even do a fan brush. I would start here, jag my way up, jag my way down, jag my way up, and then just fade out. Something like that, okay? But keep it simplistic. Whoops, didn't want to go that far back. Just come up, come down, come up, come down, and fade out, you know, but with some jags in there. And that's really going to help you out. So we can fade this down and out, break the, you know, angles of this, break the angles of this, break it up, and come down. Then we can define our highlight and shadow side. Technically, your light source, by the way, is here because your moon is reflecting the light. But let's just say it was over here. Make it easier for the righties. Let's just scratch in a cheater line, and let's scratch in a cheater line. So now we know that all of our highlight has to be on this side. All of our highlight has to be, you know, somewhat on this side. Let's stop it right there. But now we can put in our shadow side that we're just gonna swoop, 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 swoop. This one you can actually swoop and fade over there. Then this one you can swoop and fade up into this mountain. And then what that's gonna do, it's gonna create this beautiful little valley ridge. Beautiful little valley ridge. And then you have, look how much simpler that looks. Just with the basic Microsoft Paint that we did, you have a more balanced, a more simplistic, and a lot more approachable painting that's not going to be intimidating for you. And that's what we want, okay? And then when you get to this side and this side, work off that paint entirely with that 2-inch brush as you pull it down. So again, when we put these next corresponding layers here and here, it's going to easily stick, okay? So that's going to fix your mountain a lot. Now, obviously, you need work on your paint breaks because these, what I like to call the butter toast effect, you're just smushing in a little bit of color on top of everything metal detecting, and it's tough. Paint breaks take a long time to work or to get correctly, and I like to cheat. I like to cheat. Let me give you my cheat for here, okay? I want you to buy... you don't have to get this big box here, but I want you to buy these blue paper towels. Here, let's go bigger for you. I want you to buy these blue paper towels. These things are the best painter's tool I've ever come across. I use them for everything. Everything, no joke. I want you to take that, take the paper towel, wrap it around your finger or fingers, just like this, and go up to where your mountain is at the peak. At the peak here, and rub off all this color. All this color. Since it's a black canvas, there's that black gesso underneath, so you technically don't even need any paint, okay? We're going to rub that off, and what that does is it's going to expose all the toothing underneath the canvas. So when you put paint on top of tooths, it just fills up and fills up, so there's these little nibs that can only grab your paint. But when you wipe off paint, it exposes more of this toothing here, so when you take your palette knife, it goes cling, 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 and that's what creates those beautiful paint breaks. And that's what we want for you. So take that paper towel. Oh, crappity. Hold on. There we go. Take that paper towel and just wipe off, like right here, right here, right here, right here, right here, right here, you know, right here. And now when you take your firmer, what the second hack I want to give you is that Winsor and Newton titanium white paint. Get the non-water mixable, water-soluble one because it's a little more firmer. And pull it out nice and thin. Let it sit for like 5 minutes before you use it. Then scratch it off and then put it on. And it'll paint break way easier. Why not Bounty paper towels? This is a great question. Great question. You technically can use Bounty paper towels. The quicker picker upper, Bounty. That's right. I like jingles. The difference between those shop towels and Bounty those shop towels are woven cotton. So they're way stronger and way sturdier. And because that it's woven, David, it's not going to have little things of, I don't know what you'd call them. I wouldn't say like mothballs, but when you rub paper towel, you know, you've ever cleaned up a really strong mess and the paper towel breaks down and then it makes those little balls and little filaments of fibers come off. So when you use a Bounty paper towel and you wipe things off, it's the paper towel is breaking down and then it's putting that cotton and it's putting that paper material on your canvas, making it hard to clean up. It's like leaving remnants behind. The woven towels don't do that unless you really, really grind through the paper towel. But if you just pull everything off, that woven material holds together, not leaving any extra residual residue behind like cotton or fibers, okay? So you can use Bounty, you just got to be careful with it. When I first started painting, I was using Bounty, and it's perfectly fine. But when you get the shop towels, no joke, it'll change your life. It's like 40 times better. No, screw that. It's like 60 times better. No, screw that. It's literally 89 times better. And it's worth the money. Those shop towels aren't that much more money. I use them for just painting. The big box I bought there, I think I actually got from Costco for like $14, and it's a gigantic roll of it. You can find those things everywhere now, like Target, Walmart, and they're not always on sale, but they sometimes go on sale. A little harder to find now during the pandemic time, obviously. They are literally, and they're great for cleaning up your hands because since they're stronger, you can like wipe off your hands harder. They're just good. I can't praise them enough. I can't praise them enough. One of the best things I ever found. Okay, so here we get into something that I'm a good mentor. I'm a good mentor. Here's where we get into some of the harder spots, okay? And this is gonna be hard to critique because you're heavy-handed here, and I love that beautiful approach because I'm actually a huge fan of texture. I love texture, but we're missing out on a lot of the basics here, okay? So if I was going to create this tree line here, I would create it with a lot... Oh, what's the word I want? A lot less paint, I guess is the best way to put it. So when you're mixing paint on your palette and you're creating this background layer and you're creating it on blackness, you need to create the illusion of depth, okay? And you can do black on black. Oh, damn. Oh, damn. See, now I got to figure out how that works. Thank you for the 5 gifts of subs, Tally. I know people have to accept them. So it'll be interesting, Tally. You'll have to let me know how people accept them across your side. It's going to be sweet when all 5 people say, oh, they reject Wild Creates. I'm going to be like, cool. Not only on my dating life, but now on my social medias and my live streams. Only works on desktop and laptop. Okay. That seems kind of weird. YouTube, you're behind the times. Can't give them a mobile, I say. Well, cool. Well, thank you. I appreciate it. Also, thank you for the 5 gift subs. You did not have to do that. I was just curious. Oh. See, I'm curious if it does it by longevity of channel member or who's currently watching and all that stuff. But we'll see. Let's get back to the painting right here. But thank you so much, Tally. I appreciate that, dude. I like the little icon it shows. So when we're creating our line here, the very first thing you need to do is create separation. If you're going to do black on black and black canvases, you have to think about what's going to create separation. So as you're pulling this color down, Indiana, you should have taken a little bit of white paint. Gosh dang it, I'm hitting the wrong button here. Should have taken a little bit of white paint and tapped it in right at the base of your mountain and then fade up to create a mist layer. And that mist layer creates a separation value between your black here of your mountain and then the black here. Your values are all too close to being together. Like if I convert this to grayscale here, if I take out the saturation, just look how everything looks similar. This black is the same as this black is the same as this black is the same as this black, and this black is the same as this black. Like your colors are all too similar, and it makes the image look extremely flat. And it's tough. It's tough. So two things. I would add more color into this painting to create separation until you learn contrasting values. And I would be a little more aware that you need to separate layers by light and dark. Okay? Alrighty. So now that we understand the separation value, I would use only a little bit of black to create the illusion of trees here by tapping them in with a 1-inch brush by using the top of the brush and pulling down. So that way when I put in my foothill here of my grass, it'll have a better time of standing out. Now, the other thing that you want to do that I think you forgot about a little bit is you can take probably a fan brush would be best for this. Take a little bit of white on your fan brush and then pull down ever so slightly on all of these spots that are closer to your source here. Remember, your source is shining down. And what that does is it's going to add these little streaks of white. And I did this kind of on my newer painting. And then when you take your fan brush, then blend them left to right, left to right, left to right. And what that does for you, metal detecting, is it creates these little like ripple streaks in your water that looks beautiful and natural. Like there's just a little bit of shine hitting down and across your canvas, and it looks beautiful, and it's an easy effect to achieve, and it's going to add more depth into your painting, into this water lake. You're watching and painting. Look at that, a multi-talented man. Now you make the same mistake on your trees, your land, and even your bushes, okay? And this is something you just learn in time, and it's going to take you a little bit of time to nail this, so don't feel bad. You did a very good job of shaping your trees, all in all, so be very proud of that. However, everything is just way too thick. Emo Girl, thank you for the sub. I appreciate that. everything is just way too thick. You got to learn the correct consistencies of paint. And it was kind of like we did with David. You got to learn the right viscosities, the right flows to get everything to go. Because it looks like you just mushed a lot of color onto here and then didn't have enough chance to put details of everything. Remember, you got to kind of, like we have black on black here, you got to create lights and contrast because everything just mud mixed, everything just mud mixed, everything just mud mixed, and everything just mud mixed. And it all just comes down to flow. So I would say if this is a canvas panel, let's see, what's the best advice I could give here? I would say metal detecting. If you can buy yourself a cheap and easy canvas paper book, it's about $10, $12, comes with about 10 to 12 sheets of paper in it that are made out of canvas. And you can just rip that out and painter's tape it to any flat surface that you want. What you should practice on is the different textures and thicknesses of paint that stick on top of other paint. And this is really, really good for laying of land. And take your 1-inch, your 2-inch, or your floral brush that you can and tap in your base of color. Like, let's just say a foothill here. Like, let's just say you're going to tap in, let's switch up the colors. Let's just say you're going to tap in just a hill that came like that, okay? Then you would take it and you would take your brush and you would start tapping in the bottom side. And that's going to flow the hill down into the angle that you want. It's going to create a natural separation because you're going from lighter to darker and lighter to darker, and it's flowing down and creating this shape of land, okay? Just like that. And you just keep tapping and tapping and tapping until you get it to be exactly where you want for your little bit of hillside that you're forming out in here, okay? And you just tap, 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 and then we don't care what happens at the bottom. Then you can switch over to your highlight side, and then you start lightly tapping in a little bit of color on top, and then you start shaping your lines. It's gonna be very hard to do digitally because I'm not a digital artist, okay? And you start tapping in, and you're like, okay, well, my light source is here, so a little bit of yellow highlight hits here, hits here, hits here, and then comes down and across, and then maybe one, you know, hits here, and then comes across, and comes across like that, and then you're like, okay, now let's go back and tap in what I need to have in for my shape. And just work on building layers, on testing. So that way when you kind of, everything starts to click and you go, oh, that's how I don't dilute my paint, or that's how I don't mud mix my paint. You can then take this whole thing and apply it into this painting here. And that's gonna help you out a ton. So that way you're like, oh, now I know how to build layers. Now I know how to blend layers. Now I know how to stack my layers. Now I know how to put highlights on top of my layers. Because I can tell you had a very big problem with mud mixing. Because look, all of your colors start mushing into the same thing and they don't stand out. So when you put on your first foundation layer, push, you know, push. Then you do light taps on top, light taps on top, light taps on top. And that's going to happen. It's going to help a ton. The good news is, that I like about your painting, is you have all these separational layers. That's awesome. That looks fantastic. You've got many, many planes that's building depth in your painting. But I would say the biggest thing before you paint your next one, just get yourself a practice canvas or a practice canvas pad or those practice canvas sheets and just work on building layers, because it's going to help you figure out how to stop mud mixing correctly. And I know everybody has the same thing. They're like, oh, well, I want to paint a landscape. I want to paint a landscape. But yeah, if you paint a crappy landscape, it's going to demoralize you. And I don't want to demoralize you. I want to build up your confidence. So learning simple things that you nail out. Like, one of the things I remember doing vividly is when I got like a big Amazon box delivery for whatever I got. I can't remember what it was. Probably my enlargement pills or something like that. I would cut the sleeves off the cardboard box, and I gessoed out the sleeves, or the flaps, if you will, and then I painter's taped that down on top of a piece of wood, and I put liquid white on top of it, and then I took a nice semi-creamy paint of black, green, and phthalo blue, and I just made tree after tree. I must have painted literally, no joke, probably 25 trees across in a line. And my first tree was crappy, but by the time I got to tree 10, I was like, oh, that's how I kind of make a zigzag shape. Didn't still look good, but I was figuring out the shape. Then I got to tree 15, and I was like, oh, this is how I fill in and push the brush to create limbs. And then I got to tree like 20 to 25, and I was like, oh, now it's starting to look good. And that helps so much more. That helps so much more. So I would say just practice some of those elements and it's going to look good. The good news is you've got a good balanced painting here for what you got going on. We just need to apply the basics. And I think learning color and separation for when you're doing black canvases is going to help a ton, because you need more separation of color between your between your sky and your mountains, between your mountains and this background layer. You've got good separation between your land and the lake because it's got blue to green, but then you need that separation between here and this plane and here in this plane and here in this plane. And it's just going to help pull this painting a lot more together. Sometimes when you over exaggerate, it helps a little bit, you know? Hey, what's up, Oscar? How you doing there today? Yeah, you can send me one, Oscar. We just got a few people more in front of you at the moment, but feel free to on Twitter and Instagram. But you know, Indiana, I think you're on a great path. You're on a very good path of where you're doing it. And thank you for allowing us to take a look at your art. And it means the world to me that we get to see it. All right, let's switch back over to the main. Here we go. All right, who do we do next? Who do we do next? I actually believe that's true. I can't remember who asked me this question, David. Somebody asked me on YouTube, they said, what's easier to paint on? A large canvas or a small canvas? And my reply was medium canvas. And I said that because when you're on a small canvas, yes, you save paint. Thus, you don't let things get out of control. However, you have a very difficult time working on the finer details because you have a smaller space. So there's your trade-off. When you're on a larger canvas, you have more chance of experimenting and making room for spaces of what you want to paint, thus less chance for error. However, you're going to go through a lot more paint, which means you're probably going to overpaint, which means you're probably going to mud mix and contaminate your colors even more. However, when you find a nice medium canvas, it's the balance of both of those that you get to work on. And that's why I suggest medium. So I would say probably like a 12 by 16 is probably a good spot, or anywhere within that range. Yeah, let me pull yours up. Not Indiana, sorry. Baby. Hey, baby. All right, give me 1 second. Do. There it is. Let me download it really quick. I'm really excited to see what you paint next time, metal detecting. In fact, you know, one of my my Wine Wednesday painting that I'm going to do is going to be a black canvas painting. And it's going to be very simplistic, very simplistic. And I would say possibly take a look at when that video drops, because that could be a great one for you to learn how to do some simple techniques when you do black canvases. All right, let's move that down and away. And an 18 by 24, that's a little bit on the larger side, but if that's what you feel comfortable using, that's perfectly fine. I personally, when I do like my painting tutorials on YouTube, well, it's basically because it fits right within my pocketbook for teaching and testing and doing all that fun stuff. Like the 12 by 16 works really well. All right, let me mark this one here. Drop this in. There we go. Thank you for letting us take a look at yours. I love looking at everybody's art here. All right, let's duplicate this layer and let's switch over to what we have on our review side. So this one is from a baby. Let's move that so my face is out of the way. There we go. And this is looking great too. I actually love the color of this baby blueness. This baby blue. No, I can't remember. Is this acrylic? I think this is acrylic, right? Is this based off a tutorial also? Or a reference, anything like that, baby? So let us know if this is oil or acrylic. I think it's acrylic. Although I see some smush spots in here. Oh, it's oil. Okay, cool. Good. Now I can really criticize it and tear it down. Hell yeah. This is a great painting. So we've got a nice, beautiful baby blue, can always get my words right. Baby blue sky. Oh, is this a grand day something? Do you mean grandeur of summer, maybe? We got a nice baby blue sky, some clouds, mountains. We got, whoops, just trying to pull this up. We got our distant tree lines that come to a very prominent stop for some reason. God was just like, you know what? Stop, 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 stop. And we got our trees, water, a little waterfall here, our rocks, and then our land. Okay. This is looking good. Let's start at the top here and work our way down. So your sky, very beautiful and soft. Now, just like we were saying for David here, you the artist, are in control of where you want your focal points to be. And to help those focal points, you can add dark and light, or saturation to non-saturatedness, non-vibrancy, if you will. So if I was to paint this, I would not do necessarily the vignette, but what I would do is, let's switch colors here. Let's get to a nice little blue. Is I would, no, go back, switch to brush. I would take a very strong 1-inch brush, and no joke, baby, I would go boo, whoosh with my first stroke, and then I would start from this side and go boo, whoosh with that stroke. And you know what? That's all I would do. No joke. Then I would take a clean, dry 2-inch brush. This won't work really on Photoshop here. But then I would take my 2-inch brush and I would start, it's not going to be big enough. I would start pulling all of this color down just like that. Okay? And it's going to, with that liquid white base underneath, it's going to start creating this beautiful gradient that's starting to shift all the way down. And knowing where my horizon line is, I would let that dissipate out into the white. And we kind of talked about this before, okay? So I'm going to have a beautiful, highly saturated blue at the top, and it's going to dissipate down into the bottom right here. That's going to look beautiful, and that's creating a focal point that's being pushed down into that mountain. That's going to be my eye-grabbing piece. So I would say start with that, is adding a little bit more of that blueness into the sky and pulling down. Then when you come to your cloud right here, I would take my paper towel and I would, hold on, strength. Wait, what am I in? Oh, I'm still in my smudge. There we go. I would take my paper towel and I would just wipe these sections off where I was going to put a little bit of cloud. And then when I put in my cloud, it's going to have an easier time sticking, okay? Because you can tell, since your blue, baby, is so close. Like, look, if we took out all of the color, if you took out all the color of this painting, you can barely see your cloud. So that shows that it's the same value, more or less, as that blue. So when you darken that blue up, it's going to stand out a lot more, okay? Can you do it since it's dry now? Well, you're going to mess up your clouds. You're going to go over your clouds. So technically, no, unless you wanted to repaint everything. So I would just say lesson learned for the next one is what I would do, okay? Also, when you do that blue, look, I can see your paint strokes. You have paint strokes that go like this, paint strokes that go like this, paint strokes that go like this, paint strokes for some reason have an S curve to them, paint stroke like that, paint stroke like that, and a paint stroke like that. When you're done painting, you want to self-level your strokes out. So all of your strokes, you can do all these different types of strokes like this, 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 and this. You can do whatever paint strokes you want to get whatever effect, but then when you're done, brush them straight, okay? That'll even out all the brush strokes so they're smooth and symmetrical. Grandeur of the summer. I knew it. Grandeur of summer is a tough one. All right. So now that we've figured out your sky, let's talk about your mountain, okay? Let's talk about your mountain. You made the same mistake as you did last time. And as we talked about with our other fellow artists today, we have strong mountains that are kind of all the same height. This one, different height. Look, we got 1 peak, 2 peak, 3 peak. It's all kind of the same. And then guess what you did, baby? Guess what you did? Say it with me now. Tiger claw. Straight line, straight line. Essentially, the peak behind here, straight line. Peak behind here, straight line. You went straight down with your claws. I vividly remember telling you that we need to break it up, okay? Now let's simplify this. Let's eliminate these two. We don't need that, all right? We're going to just put 2 mountains in here. We're going to come up, bumpy, 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 down, 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 bumpy, 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 down, 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 down. And then we're just going to fade those out. Look at that. We've already fixed your mountains. You try to do too much again. Then we can scratch in our line for separation. It comes down and over. And scratching our line comes down and over. Boom. Look, we can already see where our mountain's going. Now we take our knife with our dry, firm, white titanium paint, and you just take in and stroke down, stroke down, stroke down. Don't come all the way down. Stop like right here because we're going to tap this out. And same thing. Scratching, 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 just like that. Now we can take our shadow color and fade down and out, fade down and out, fade down and out, fade down and out, fade down and out. This one, meet up in this corner, meet up in this corner. So that way we create this valley here. And look, already we have a great simplified mountain. And that's just something you just need to tell yourself, baby. When you're approaching your mountain here, just go, okay, I make the same 2 mistakes. I make all my mountains the same height, and I make all my mountains the same angle. So we need to stop that. And I want you to remember that. Just go, okay, so let's simplify this. How can I simplify this? I'm going to do 2 or 3 mountains, and then I'm going to cheat when I have to put in my lines. I'm going to scratch in a test line. I probably ruined this. No, okay, good. I'm going to scratch in where my highlights and where my shadows need to go. So that way I can visualize where I need to put my lines. It's okay to cheat. I do it all the time. Nobody's going to know what the final result is. Just scratch it in and do it. It's going to be way easier for you, okay? And then I know the Grandeur Summer has like another set of mountains here, but I would just get rid of it. Since you're starting out, simplify. Always simplify what you're doing. If you try to do too much, you're just doing too much. You're just making it harder for you. We need to build up to certain things. You don't, the tutorials you're following are just references. It's not the final. It's not your final. You're not doing exams or anything like that. Just use it as an influence. So 2 mountains, okay? Let's remove these trees here for just a moment. We're not going to talk about those. So you did this distant tree line. Your very first one is perfect. Absolutely 100% perfect. Look, you got these beautiful, you got the separation of white here, just like we were talking for metal detecting should do. See metal detecting, how this helps separate the distance between these 2 layers. Like this looks like distant trees because there's this little white fog area behind it and then the mountain. That's what yours was kind of missing a little bit. So if you can add those separational pieces, that's what adds the natural depth and makes things stand out. So baby, you did fantastic right here. Bravo. In fact, you know what you get? Small golf clap. Small golf clap. Here we go. Oh, let's do it closer to the microphone. Just nice and soft. ASMR time. Very good. Very good. Bravo. Bravo. Now let's go back to this crappy painting. I'm just kidding. It's actually really good. So what you did here was extremely good. Beautiful. You see, the reason why this one is good, baby, is because you took these trees here. Let's minimize this brush a little bit. You took it and see how these trees fade into the next layer beautifully. You see how these trees fade into these tree layers. Beautiful. Natural laying of land. Perfect. Perfect. I want you to remember that word perfect because that's where it stops. You should have faded out the bottom of this. You see how you got some splotchiness right here? You just need to push harder with your 2-inch brush. Harder, so you take the bristles and push, 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 and fade down and out. Yeah, slap that thing. You're going to slap that brush down in here and create that natural fog just like you did for this layer here, okay? Now where it falls apart, is for some reason this layer goes up and naturally fades behind this tree. Great job, great job. And then an apocalypse happened here. Like straight line just chops down off and away. I don't know what happened. It shouldn't do that. Nature wouldn't just really stop unless it was like deforestation happened right here. You need to continue this layer down behind this layer. And since you would have this natural fog, it looked natural and perfect. Then you did the same thing over here. This one goes over here and fades, right? But then it just stops for no particular reason. And then you made the same mistake 3 times. You took this and then stops. Like, there should be no reason this stops right here. You need to have this fade off into something. Also, you probably brought these layers a little too close down to your painting. All 4 of these layers right here should be with like up in here. Like just layer after layer after layer after layer, okay? So these should fade more naturally into the land. I'm looking forward to scratching in where the mountain lines go. Yeah, just do it. Just use the tip of the knife. Use the tip of the knife and just do it. Nick Hankins taught me that trick. He was like, dude, just do it. Nobody's gonna know. And then the only thing you kind of did, like, so this is tough. This is tough. You did 4 layers. I'd probably say you should do 3. So what I would do for you, baby, next time you do this, if you're gonna create these planes like this, is do 3. And here's what you're going to do. You're gonna take, let's just say this was brown and black, whatever color you want. Make a mixture of brown and black. That's your foreground element of these 3. And this is gonna be full brown and black, okay? Then I want you to take a dollop of white and mix it with that brown and black, and then that's gonna be this layer. Since it's gonna be, the contrast color is gonna be a little less, it's gonna go here, so it's gonna stand out, it's gonna be faded. Then take a little more dollop of white and mix it in, and then that's gonna be this one here. So you have different values creating contrast, building the planes coming forward, okay? And that's really gonna help separate these 2 out. Or sorry, these 3 out. Water's good. I'm gonna have to go get some more here in a second. Okie dokie. Now your water is pretty decent. It looks a little dry. Like down here, you can see this too. I don't know if this guys will show up on yours well through the stream. You can see the toothing of your canvas, which means you probably should have added a little bit more liquid white around your water area for your canvas, so that we get those. Excuse me, I got like a burp coming up, so there we go. Burp the baby. So when you pull your colors down and across, whether you're pulling your trees down for reflections or pulling in from left to right to create the gradients of water, they'd be a little more smoother and have a natural sheen to them. So it looks like your canvas is just, you didn't have any liquid white. Well, that's a problem. I'm gonna get you liquid white. Look at my liquid white recipe. Just get some solvents, or not solvents, sorry, get some mediums and make your own. It's gonna help a ton. That's gonna help you make these beautiful transitions and colors, okay? Alrighty, let's move into the elephant in this room. The trees. The trees and bushes. I'm first going to say you did a good job of separating and using colors to create different illusions of bushes and trees, okay? Like, if we look back at this paint, we look far back, you can see different bushes, different colors equals different bushes and different colors, you know? It works well. However, they're just not that great overall because you made a simple mistake if you eliminated all of your contrast, okay? So again, if we saturate this or desaturate out, whoops, didn't mean to cancel. See how like there's no differences now? Like these are all kind of the same colors. Like these 2 are pretty darn similar to what's over here. Like actually on the left-hand side, I can't even barely tell in here what's a separation in value, what's a separation in color, what's a separation in the land. See, look, we have brown, brown, yellow, yellow, brown, brown, yellow, and, you know, green. And what you did here, at least I'm going to take a shot in the dark, is you were probably stingy on your paint, you know? Oil paint costs money, and you're like, I don't want to waste too much. But when you do that, you're a detriment to the art you're creating. So you need to use a lot more color and a lot more paint to create the separation of tones and contrast. Now, when you're putting in all of these bumps in here, baby, you need to make sure, like, let's say, let's just eliminate this. We're not concentrating on that section right now. This section right here is what I want you to concentrate on. You put 1 layer of bushes there, and then like a layer of bushes here, okay? So what you need to do, baby, hey, what's up, Matt? How you doing? When you're tapping in your bush, tapping in your bush, and tapping in your bush. Before you get to this bush here, you need to make sure that you leave darkness in between here. So that way there's a separation between these two layers. Because remember, light is coming down. It's not getting every little nook and cranny that's in here. There's going to be bright spots and dark spots. And so when you do that, that's what really creates depth in your painting. You have all of your bushes on top of all of your bushes, on top of all your bushes, on top of all your bushes, on top of all your bushes. And thus it makes your painting look very flat, okay? And I know it's very hard when you're painting. Bushes get away from you quickly, or not necessarily bushes, sorry. Highlights on bushes get away from you quickly because you're just tapping them in. You're like, ooh, I'm painting, I'm creating color, I'm creating all these different things. You need to be like, okay, 1 tap, 2 tap, 3 tap. Okay, my next bush is going to be down here, so let's start down here. I'm going to leave this separation of black, and then I'm going to go 1 tap, 2 tap, 3 tap. Okay, I'm going to put black separation here. Let's add my next bush. 1 tap, 2 tap, 3 tap. Okay, separation maybe here, and then just a little bush, little bush. But when you leave these separational points, that's what helps build layers, depth, and separation. Okay? So that's the one thing you really need to work on, is not eliminating all of your black and whatnot. You love watching me dissect these paintings? It's fun. I mean, it's always good. And it's not just me. We're all here to give feedback of what we like and what we don't like. Plus, I think here's the cool part about it. Is when you see your art from a different perspective, or like I'm here to give feedback and yes, criticism. I'm here to tear down, but also build up. I'm here to lend a helping hand, but also point the finger at times. It gives your art a new perspective, and it puts your eye, your artistic eye, in a new light. Okay, so that way when you stand back, like, yes, baby David and Metal Detecting should be very proud of the art that they created, but I want them to thirst for better. I want them to thirst for more, and I want them to go, you know what, that is crappy. I did do this tree line really shitty. It's like, why did I do this one so well, but yet when I got to this one here, why did I fail at that? And that's what I want them to ponder, and that's what I want them to think. They go, okay, well, maybe I did use too much color, or maybe I didn't fade this out, or maybe I should have spent a little more time here. And I want them to think, I want them to churn, because when you do that, that's where something beautiful happens. You go, oh, I get it now. I should do this. Oh, I should concentrate here. And that's where your art starts going to the next level. And that's what we want to get going for you. Oh, my eye. Itchy eye. Oh, thank you, Zoid. I appreciate that, man. Whenever I see the word Zoid, it reminds me of the cartoon Zoids. It was like the CGI anime style show with the people and the robots. It was cool. I missed it back in the day. What's up, Broadway? How you doing there, man? You're a young artist and have been painting for only a year. What do you paint? Or in what medium, I should probably ask. Watercolor, acrylic, oils. Like, what's your foundation you like? Yeah, it was expensive. I had small tubes and I ran out. That's what the life of being an artist, baby. The life of being an artist. Which is why I recommend do medium canvases, because it goes back into that. But then also do simplistic paints. The grandeur of summer. If you look at Bob Ross's painting, do 2 things. I want you to do it at the end of my stream today. Go back and look at the painting. Notice how much paint is stacked up on his palette. It's a butt ton, okay? And there's a reason why for that. Because when you look at the final result, he has a butt ton of paint on the canvas. Like, look at the highlights that he creates. Oh, I've got my alerts from my other one on here. That's so funny. Hey, there, everybody can see my wild flex right there. That's cool. You can see how many highlights, thick highlights he has on there, so hence a lot of paint. And that's why yours isn't, that's why your painting's flat compared to Bob Ross's. That's why Bob's pops off the canvas and yours doesn't. He created all those valuations and saturations, which creates the vibrancy, which then also adds to the contrast that makes it look like it has depth. Thus, we need to do that for you. But to do that for you, we want you to start with simplistic paintings so you can learn that skill. Okay? And you know what? I think you're floating rock. It's fine. It's fine. It just needs to make it not float. You see how you took this water line right here, this beautiful little water line? All you needed to do is scratch in a water line right here in front of it. And thus, it would cement it in reality, sitting in the water, coming out of the water. And that's it. And then you can also take a little bit of liquid white and take a fan brush and screech down over here so it looks like water's coming down and churning across. But you definitely need to make yourself a liquid white base medium. Whether you want to use one of my recipes, I would just, I don't care if you want to support or what your feelings are. Just buy Bob Ross liquid white so that way you understand what the natural consistency of it is. So that way you have a foundation and a control. So when you make your own, you know exactly what to make. Young YouTube, I have trouble leaving blank spaces in between strange. Oh, it seems strange while you're putting the paint on, but empty space ends up looking better. It's true. So it's tough. I always say white and black are colors. When you're doing wet on wet, you usually have a black foundation if it's a black canvas, or generally a white foundation if it's a white canvas, you know? And those colors are colors. Doesn't mean you always have to cover the entire canvas with other color. You can leave those dissipation points in there, and that'll add to the illusion of depth or separation. When you get to my painting, I send over 3 over on Instagram. You can choose any of 3. Okay. I probably got time to do 1 or 2 more here. I do have to hit the restroom here in just a second, but let me catch up. Yeah, using liquid white is a ton. Yeah, just make sure you go through my link. Use my links. They help me a lot. Alrighty. Let me switch over here. Who wants me to do theirs next? Is anybody a member here? We can do a review of theirs before we move on to a non-review one. Or YouTube channel member one. And then while you're doing that, you know what? I'm going to hit the restroom right now and get an extra cup of water. So let me put on just the background music for you all. We'll just click on whatever. We'll click on this one. It's called Sad Drone and D. That sounds like a good song. All right, give me 1 second. I'll be right back. I'm going to hit the restroom and then get some water. Give me 1 second. Alrighty, I'm back. There we go. I can't wait to get some food and some more breakfast in me. Yes, you can. You can add zinc white or titanium white if you want to it. So what I found, David, before you add liquid white, or sorry, not liquid white, titanium or zinc white or whatever white you have laying around, is I noticed one of my Bob Ross cans, or another can that I bought from another manufacturer too to test out, was some of the pigment was stuck at the bottom of my can. So if you have a popsicle stick or something that can reach like a deeper palette knife perhaps, scrape the bottom and sides of the can and then shake it up really, really well. Because I did that and it became a lot thicker and creamier because there was like a chunk or two to that. It was like literally like sitting like sediment at the bottom. And I can see that happening in if some paints are stored in like warehouses or on shelves for a long time, you know. Lorraine, if you're looking for, I'm in 4 versions technically, of a liquid white for acrylic artists. One's called Wild's Wet White. You can take a look at that video on YouTube, and it shows you the dry times and what you get out of it. It's actually a very good video, and we've used it here before in my house, and you get pretty darn good results with it. All right, I got Pedro's here. Pedro's is gonna be a little different because it's Pedro, is this pastels or acrylic? It's such a, it looks so different. I think I've only got a smaller image of it too. I think we had this problem last time when we did yours, dude. It was like a small image, so it didn't show up too well. Like it couldn't scale within Photoshop. I think he did acrylic, but it also looks like it's got a pastel look to it. What, it's oil? This looks like, is it on a like super porous material? It looks dry. Like the canvas looks super dry, like no blending. When I click your Amazon story page, it takes me to a generic Amazon page. Yeah, so if you're looking like in this stream here, Matt, the only thing I can link to, since I'm not really knowing what I'm going to talk about in a product video or in the stream here, is I just list to Amazon. I still get the affiliation of you going through that link. So if you buy anything that's a painting product, or you got to buy anything that's a cooking product, or buy anything that's a toiletry, I still make money off that. It's a little hack that I do. So thank you for the support. It costs you no more money. It just helps support my channel. It's just when I have to make the stream, I have no idea what I'm going to talk about. So I have no idea what to link to for a basic thing, you know? So just linking to Amazon in general is easiest for me. Now, I have a store page for Amazon, but I'm actually making my own store page on my own website, and that will link to certain things on Amazon for all of you. A chip canvas, okay. Okay, that's what, it looks porous. It looks porous, which is why there's like not much blending. So this is going to be tough, Pedro, because is this an artistic approach or style that you like, or are you looking for something that's more like a wet on wet approach? Because if you like the more pastel-y, dry approach, this is fine. But if you're looking for something that has a little more natural transitions in it, natural gradients in it, natural color changes in it, you need to use something that's going to allow for those transitions of colors to happen on the canvas. Oh, you're welcome, baby. I'm always glad to help review your stuff. Like always, I'm excited to see what happens for you next. The biggest tip that I'm going to give you is, can we just start with the simpleness of some things? You need to do a little more simplistic work before you jump into the big things. That's why I'm always such a strong proponent of simplified. Can you use liquid white with acrylics like Bob Ross liquid white? No, you can't. Wet oil paint and wet acrylic paint do not mix. It makes for, they'll chip and not adhere or stick to each other correctly. You treat them like oil and vinegar. You know, they don't mix. Like when they're in the bottles, they separate out. You can paint oil paint on top of acrylic paint once your acrylic paint is dried, because essentially it just turns into a plastic. And then you can paint on top of that. Was what on what freestyle? Okay, so let's talk about it really quick, because your canvas is too dry for what you're doing on wet. Chip canvases, chip panels, porous panels, MDF, all that stuff, it soaks things up like a sponge. So what we need to do is we need to seal your canvas before you start painting on it, Pedro. And the best is using gesso. But if you want to use just basic acrylic paint, that's fine too. And when you do that, you're basically allowing the canvas to have the paint color on top of it, allowing it to be pushed around more with your brush to have natural flows. So that would be the first thing, is seal your canvas with a good amount, 1 layer, 2 layer, 3 layers of gesso. It'll take time to discover what works best for you and your technique. And then put your liquid white base on top. Okay? So when you take your liquid white base, we know our... Oh, I just transitioned to a different... we're getting there. There we go. When you get to your horizon line here, let's just stroke this out. We know it stops right here. That was a pretty thick stroke. We don't need that. Stroke. Let's just do 10 because it's a smaller image here. Since we know her horizon line is going to be right here, you start with your cross strokes up here. Let's move to a different color. Let's pick a blue. Start with your cross strokes. Oh, gosh darn it. I'm not even on a paintbrush now. Start with your cross strokes up here, just like this, just like what we said for babies. And that's all you need to do. Then take a dry 2-inch brush, and you can start pulling these brush strokes literally down like that towards this horizon line or into your orange sunset line. And it's going to have these beautiful, beautiful gradients. The whole point of wet on wet is you get to create these natural gradients on the canvas. So you don't have to do them on your mixing palette and do section at a time. So we need to do that so you have these smoother transitions, okay? Then for your clouds look more surreal than they do natural-esque, which is why I didn't know if that was by artistic choice. Like, most clouds aren't going to be square like this, and definitely clouds don't go straight up unless there's a upward flow or this is like smoke from a fire. You'd have to have an increased heat elevating up to create a straight line of clouds like that. A lot of your clouds are just circular cotton balls and square shapes. When you're creating clouds, what I'd like you to try to do, Pedro, is simplify it. Let's just do 2 clouds, okay? I'm going to minimize my brush. What I want you to do is take a full fan brush of a loose white, like titanium white mixed with a little bit of liquid white, and I want you to start slowly whisking. Look, I'm not even like going to really look. I'm just going to have you whisk up, whisk down, whisk right, whisk left and up, down and across, and just keep it going. We're just going to go all the way up into this corner here, and that's it. That's all I'm going to do. Just create this outer edge for my cloud. Then when you come back with your fan brush, clean it off a little bit, and start blending in, I should have left this brush small. Start blending in a little bit of the bottom, or sorry, the top of the crown, but the bottom side of the top side of the crown. Tough word to say. And just blend it in to build a little bit of this body of this cloud. And you're still going to wisp, but you're going to form a body of this cloud just like that, okay? And just whisk and 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 whisk. Then take your 2-inch brush and just pull cross strokes like that to form the body. And what happens when you do that is it's going to take these crowns right here at the top, and it's going to pull those crowns into the shape of the body and create different densities. And those different densities are going to look like light is coming through certain parts of the cloud, like it got kissed by the sunlight. And it's going to create all these beautiful, beautiful little shapes. Then you can blend out the bottom with a soft cross stroke. Then you can give it a little lift up and then go left to right to form your cloud to work out the brush strokes. Then you take that and you just repeat it and do it one more time down here. And you got 2 simplified clouds that look more natural in your sky. There are no rules to a cloud. Clouds can be whatever they want, but generally making them look more natural is going to help you out. So staying away from the surreal look of like straight lines and squares are going to help you, unless that's by artistic choice. Let me switch this over here because I forgot to make a layer, so I'm going to delete this picture and then reload it. I didn't want you guys to see what's in my Photoshop because it's got some thumbnails of surprises I'm saving for some video launches. Can't give away all my stuff I'm doing on YouTube. Got to give some teases out here. So hopefully that makes a little more sense, Pedro. Okay? And then just like last time with the last few artists here, we have the same problem. We have the same problem. We have mountains that are generally all the same height. Look, this mountain's the same height as this one. This one's the same height as this one, which is the same height as this one. We got 3 mountains that come across to hit the same peaks. We don't want that. We got too many mountains up in here. Again, let's just do 2 mountains. Nothing wrong with keeping it simple, guys and girls. Let's come up, make a mountain, comes up and jags, comes down, and then let's put it over here for the rule of thirds. Comes up and comes down and over just like that. Fade these out. Nice and simple. Then Pedro, let's come down here and let's scratch in our line and come across, and then let's sketch in our line and come across. And now we know where to put our highlights. We know where to put our highlights. And then we know where to put our shadow. Nice and simple. This shadow can meet up into here. And then we're going to blend this portion down here at the bottom so it creates that separation layer like Baby did. Okay? And there you go. Now we got a way simpler mountain. Way simpler mountain. It's going to allow you to experiment to put your highlight and shadow side on to create paint breaks. And it actually looks like we're starting to get some paint breaks here. And here, and here, and here. So it looks like you're getting better and a little more confident with it. So good job. Good job, dude. I'm getting proud of you. Hold on, I got a text message. Hold on, I got a reply. All right, sorry about that. I had to reply to a message. Okay, so that should all be a little bit easier and more simplistic for you. Nothing wrong with making things simple, all right? I love what you try to do here with your land, but again, this is too much. This is too much. You try to do too many hills, and by doing too many hills, they all mushed into one giant mixture of color to where it doesn't even separate itself out. So again, let's simplify this again, Pedro. I would do probably one hill that came this way, or actually I would start a lot higher. I'd start one hill that comes this way. I don't know. Boom. And then one that comes like that, okay? Then you can have everything from here down. Everything in this red box should be a gradient of water, okay? And you would start your gradient of water by your darkest blue down here and slowly blend it up, okay? Just like that. Then you can go back and add some extra blue on the left side and right side and blend in like that. So that way you get a beautiful sheen of water coming down. But since this is sunset, there wouldn't be one of those white sheens that Bob Ross always shows you, which is why you would start from the bottom up first, okay? Because it's technically going to be all dark blue. That's just transitioning towards the color or the light source. Now that we have that beautiful piece of blue land or blue water body in there, we can add just a little bit of land that's ticking into it. That would be up here, okay? And that's it. So you've got these 2 big grass fields and then just a little bit of land, and then you can scratch in your water lines right here. Now you have all this space for your boat, which your boat looks pretty damn good. I'm going to applaud you on that. We could make your boat probably just a little bit bigger, which gives you a little more source for the guy and the paddle going in. And there you've got a more simplistic, way more simplistic painting that I think you would appreciate a lot more. I think people always feel they need to add more elements because the elements and assets makes the painting more complex, more unique, has more depth. Simplicity goes a long way within a painting. Sometimes it's the most impactful painting when it has the most simplistic stuff. And I think from everybody that we reviewed today, adding more simplified features is really going to help you out on not just your skill building, but also the impact the painting is going to have. It also looks like you got some blotchy spots down here too, Pedro. Like there's a big blotch here, blotch there, some here, and some here. So again, it looks like you need to have some liquid white base on there to really get those gradients to work in your favor. And that's going to help you out a ton, dude. It's going to help you out a ton. Just like we were talking about with Baby. You'd get those natural gradients that would happen in your canvas that just make your job so much easier as a painter. I can't do people and I can't do animals. So kudos to you. I give you major props. Major props. I can't do it at all. I've tried once before and it's not working well for me. All right, I can do one more really, really quick, and then I gotta go get breakfast / luncheons. So, do we have any more YouTube members that we can take a look at? I would say, Pedro, paint this again, but simplify it. Simplify it. And this is actually a really cool perspective for a painting, because technically it's very far away. Like, we're far, far away in the perspective of the grand scheme of things. So I think really, so this land, god dang it. This land material right here should be a lot thinner because it's so far in the background from the perspective. Can I send you my latest person? What is send me your latest? Are you sending me you, baby? Okay. Postbox Wild. Oh, Ninja, that's right. Where did you send yours again, Ninja? I forgot where you put yours at. Matt Dorsey. Getting all these Twitch follows, and I keep forgetting to switch it up. All right, let's move that here. I think you said Twitter. What would I think yours was Twitter? What was the name under for Twitter? Because I got a bunch of tweets from people. Was it Nick or Terry Bogart? On Insta, let me see what that one is. I don't understand why. It has to be something to do with mobile sendings. See, like now that one came through on Charlene. All right, let's see. Did you send it in a DM? Oh, wait, I got one from Ben Topkin. Ben Topkin? Is that you? Everybody's name is different on Instagram, so it's tough. Or Blake? I got one from Blake. And then I got one from Josh. Got a lot of things. No, you're Josh? Okay. See, why does that show? Maybe if I click accept, it'll show. I might have two. Maybe I could squeeze in two if I do them real quick, which will be fine because you guys aren't members, so I could do just a quick review / post. So let's see. So this one, Josh. Okay. But why does it only show one? Maybe if I click on this? It's weird how the mobile version shows me some requests and the other ones don't. These are good. But why can't it let me look at them? Josh. Boom. All right, well, I'm going to have to do the waterfall one because that's the only one that will come through on here that I can grab, dude. All right, so let me grab this one. And this one's from Ninja. Okay, and then we had the one from Zoid. You sent me two, but what's it under, Zoid? Blake. Okay, Blake. Requests. Blake. Okay. Let's see if these pop up. I think I have to, like, accept them, which is weird because I could see them on mobile, but it doesn't approve it over for... Yeah, see, that's stupid. All right, hold on. Let me email this one to me. That's so dumb. All right, come on, save to phone. Are you not going to let me save? No savies? Save to camera roll, thank you. All right, let me just email this one to myself. I wonder why Instagram's like that. Making it tough for me, Instagram. Okay. Move that over here. Allow me to grab what I was doing. Give me 1 second, peoples. Reload this up in here. Okay, so we got Ninja. Let me throw Ninja up in here. Boom, load that one. Will this not send? Did not send it to me? Ryan. There we go. Art. There we go. Email's taking a while to send to myself. That's bold ploppers. Okay, there we go. Now let's do it. Okay, so we got Ninja, and then this one was from Blake, who is Zoid. Okay. There we go. So these ones will be 2 quick ones. So normally I do these for YouTube channel members, and if you guys feel like you get some value out of this, you can always hit the little YouTube member button that's at the bottom of the chat there. There's different prices for as low as $1, and it helps support me, so thank you. I appreciate it. Let's start with Ninja here. So these will be cool little fast ones that we're going to do. Let me get a good drink of water so I can tear into these paintings here. Because Country Fried Steak and Eggs is calling my names. That's all I got to say. Clear my voice. Switch over our scenes here, and let's destroy it. So first of all, love it. You had this mountain. You had the mountain one that I wanted to take a look at because that was fantastic. But for some reason, I didn't load over to my YouTube here. Oh gosh darn it! Got to move this thing down. I don't know. I hate this stupid anchor thing that's moving on me. Come on, click on that. There we go. I need things to be even for me. I keep hitting Control Z, which is pulling it back on that side. All right, let's blow this up here. Look at the details all in this sucker. This thing looking good. Good in the neighborhood. Oh, geez. We got our background layer. We got our waterfall with a nice little hillside coming in from. I'm assuming this is this is probably a cliffside that's cutting down and in. And then a bunch of trees that look fantastic and a lot of thick layers. This is awesome. Great, great job, dude. This is very, very good, Ninja. Right now I'm just doing Instagram. I don't know. I think it's because some people send their Instagram message through Facebook, and I don't have Facebook set up through my Instagram because I keep them separate. But Twitter's usually always flawless. I don't know why. So let's take a look at what we have here. So this is a great painting. This is a very, very good, and you should be very proud of what you did. So there's actually not too many critique points on here that I'm going to go too in depth on. I'm gonna pick out the biggest things that I think that could easily use improvements. The first thing I want to say is you did a very good job of building multiple layers. But some things you always want to consider, Ninja, is if you can ever convert your image to grayscale, it really helps you figure out where separation of layers can be improved upon. So a great lesson is with the picture you sent me, if you have a way to grayscale it, go back and look and say, how can I make some separational points stick out even more? The good news is you did very good for pretty much 90% of everything that you have. There's like an eyelash in my eye that's bothering me. So with that said, you need to define where your light source is, and you did a pretty good job. But since you're, whoops, that's not a brush, that's a zoomy. There we go. Your light source technically would be here, cascading down and across this way, which you did a very, very good job. But as your elements get further and further away from this light source here, your highlights should get faded and faded and faded. So you did a fantastic job of your highlights hitting, let's switch over to red, hitting your moss of your trees up in here and of everything over here. However, these should be way dark, or I should do some blue so they're separated. This should be way darker, and then you need more separation of your highlights underneath these to cement them as if the light is fading down and across, okay? Sorry, my face is in part of this. So as you're pulling away from this light source that would be here, your highlights should fade and dissipate away. And you do a pretty decent job, but if you accentuate it a little more, it's gonna help build that layer plane a lot more, which is gonna make your painting, your 2D painting, stand out even more, which is going to look great, okay? I clicked on a button on OBS. I'm not even sure what it did. Maybe it's a recording button within a clip. Okay, so that's just one of the things I noticed that you could do that would be really, really good. Also, you have some mud mixing going on here with your colors. So when we zoom in, if I can zoom in, I don't want to make sure it doesn't have the grid on there. You can see like a bunch of different mixtures going on here. You need to build a stronger foundation of color That's not as diluted out. So that way when you put your highlight on top of some of these browns and blacks, like you can see you added highlight here, but it mushes underneath with the undertone. So you need to make a, I don't want to say or not semi-creamy. You want to make just a paint that's just slightly creamy, that when you load up with your fan brush or filbert or whatever you're dabbing in with your flat here, so when you add these in, let's make these a little thicker. When you're dabbing these sections in just like this, and then you switch over to your other color, you can then easily, with your creamy paint, add on top where you want your highlights to go. And that's going to help you build your shape, which again, if you love texture, like you say, it's going to help with that texture effect. Now, what you want to make sure that you do is technically, again, like we said, every tree that is coming in here, just like this, since our light source is technically here, your highlights have to fade from being strong to not as strong to less strong to way less strong to very less strong. Like you can't even see these ones as much. And that's because obviously the sunlight has a hard time cascading through this side. And that's just going to help, again, naturally build the depth within your painting. Okay, those are just some simple things to think about as you're building it. And of course, it would happen going this way as well. You did a fantastic job with building all the bark and moss on your trees. I love it. Absolutely love it. Did a great job. I think you could probably help create a better illusion with your mist by having your mist come up and across these spots a little bit more. And that's just by using a 1-inch brush and using like a zinc white and just tapping in with the top part of your brush and just going in right here and just putting little taps. And you do that in little layers. And that's going to create those churns, like wind is churning up and pushing up that extra mist into spot, creating more depth. But what it's also going to do too, Ninja, you can see you did a great job here. It's going to add to that added effect of separation, which is going to be great. You put your highlight on the wrong side here of this tree and your highlight on the wrong side of this tree here. Your white highlight should be on this side because, again, your light source is being defined through this opening gap here. And I know it's probably tough because I would assume you're probably right-handed, so it's easier just to put the shadows and highlights on that side. And then for your shadow side on your bark, you would want to add, I would leave this tree alone, and then add a little bit of dark highlight or shadow side on this, and then an even darker side on this side. And that way it adds to that, effect. All in all, oh, you're a lefty? Okay, well then this side should be easy for you. All in all, this is great. The only thing I think you probably missed that you could easily add for just a quick note, dude, is scratching some water lines. You put water lines here. Since there's water lines, you're essentially saying, hey, my water moves and churns, which obviously it would off of this waterfall. So add some water lines in here, scratch them with the knife, put the paint on top of your palette knife, scratch in and pull, or no, so do it on the bottom of your knife, my mistake. Put them on the bottom of your knife and scratch in and pull this way. And what you can do is take your fan brush, then fade out the back side, and it's going to look like these little ripples and waters just moving across. It's going to look awesome, and it's an easy, cool little effect to do. This is beautiful, though. This is beautiful. I think you could probably have a little more dark spots. Like all of your tree is essentially the same color. Like it's like a muted green, a muted green, a muted green, a muted green, a muted, and then you've got like the same kind of like highlight that didn't stick. Like you did a fantastic job down here of creating separation, but there's not so much separation up in your trees. And again, that's just getting layers of paint to stick on top of layers of paint. So I think adding a couple of different multitudes of colors, like adding a little bit of bright red to your yellow, will add a little bit of orange so that we can get a little burnt spots in here going on, just to give it a little bit of transition and changing of leaves. But all in all, this is fantastic, Ninja. I love this one. Was this off a reference image? Was this off a picture you took? Or is this off a tutorial of anything? You did a great job. I really love and adore the moss going up the tree sides. It's beautiful. It's beautiful. And you did a really good job of covering up your tree stump here with adding these highlights in across. Fantastic, dude. Fantastic. Your cliff could probably use a little bit of work because it's kind of weird how, like I can tell your cliff is probably like this, essentially. And then you were bringing down this hanging moss on top of it. but your cliff would still kind of grade down. It would actually grade down in a way because of erosion from the water, but you actually have it grading down across, which is a little weird. I think you could probably pull your palette knife with a little bit of mixture of Van Dyke Brown and Titanium White, and then hard streak from the top and fade down, which would create natural fades of a cliff. Yeah, cliffs are a pain in the butt. And I mean, I struggle with a lot of the same things, but I could tell what you were going for. I could tell what you're going for. Oh, it's a Tori you bought from Kevin Hill. The other two I was saying were Nick Hankins. I love Nick. I love supporting Nick. He's a fellow friend. But great, dude. This is fantastic. Good job, dude. I'm proud of you. I can't wait to see what you paint on your next few coming up. All right, let's get to our next one, which is Zoid. Let's pop that sucker in here. Zoid. Wait, why am I not pulling for it? There we go. So Zoid, this is great too. I love the colors. I love colors. I love beautiful sunrises and sunsets. It shows. It shows that you've been painting really well, Ninja. I can tell you got the experience and you got the talent, so I hope that you stick with it, dude. I hope you stick with it. Okay, so real quick, let's take a look here. I love the beautiful sunsets that we got going on here. Beautiful gradients from our whites, technically, to our yellows, to our Starburst Orange, our Alizarin Crimson, and our Phthalo or Prussian Blue out here at the top, okay? So I love the focal point that you created that pulls in, that pulls our focal point into our eye right here. Great job. Great fade all the way across. This is beautifully done. It looks like when you try to do your blending, Zoid, that you may not have cleaned off your brush entirely of paint thinner. And the reason I say that is because you can see these blotch spotches. And the reason I know this is because I've done this. So make sure, again, don't be afraid to buy these blue paper towels. And sometimes pull and dry your brush cleanly so when you go left and right, it's not going to leave residual paint thinner down that's eating away and exposing and eating away at that paint, leaving those brown bare spots that's eating away at your paint. That's what that is, okay? Because it takes away from the effect of this beautiful gradient. Thank you, Ninja, for joining our little community here. I appreciate it. Give us the strong, hard flex. Thank you so much. I think we might have hit our 50, which was my goal. Next goal, 75 YouTube members. I think we can do it if I keep cranking out some good content. Alrighty, let's keep going here. So you got this beautiful, beautiful tree line that's in the back here that's going on and creating our separational plane. Okay, Zoid? So the good news is I love how you essentially focal point in a V shape to make our eye. That's the power you have as an artist, is create shapes and lines to direct the eye line. Now, I love what you did. The only thing I would change is it looks like you did all of this in one kind of go. What I would probably do is I would technically make this 3 layers, okay? I would start with this left and come down and stop. Start with my right, come down and stop, and then I would do I would tap these all in and then fade them out so that way they're very, very far. And then I would probably, you know what, do another one that kind of just came like this to be simplistic. So that way there's a little separation between this layer and this layer. But then I have all these different colors that would still shine through for my yellow, orange, red, and blue that can cascade through these little bit of trees. And that would really help create even more depth within the painting and also make a more focal point, okay? You also really, really need on this horizon line that's coming across here, you need to take your 2-inch brush and really blend out all of this down here that would go into the snow. So that way it looks like a natural transition of your tree line to your horizon line. You can tell it looks like you just stopped and then just painted snow across. We need more of a fade so it looks more natural within the painting. Okay, now you have something that's very, very difficult. You have all 3 trees kind of the same height, even though they're technically on, or not same height, same perspective, even though they're in different planes of your painting. So technically, this tree should be smaller than this tree, and this tree should be technically smaller than this tree. So if I was to paint this, which would be very difficult because I suck at trees, this tree should only maybe come up like that high. Then this tree should maybe come up like that high. Then this tree should actually be sitting down here, or maybe even in the foreground. Then this tree should be like going off, you know? And that would create forced perspective and create depth within your painting. You also should take these planes, do one tree at a time. This snowbank should come right in front of that. Then this snowbank should come right in front of this. Or actually, that was a horrible line. Should come right in front of this. That would then push these trees back again, helping with your perspective of what you're building. And then if you wanted this tree to start here, technically, you would build a snowbank in front of this, okay? I actually think this would probably look a lot better if this tree right here... hold on. I would actually think it'd be a little bit better here if this tree started off canvas and went off canvas, making it big, because then you would create a huge, beautiful focal force point into here, okay? And then that would help you with your water banks that you're creating, since we went ahead and created these snow banks that are leading into our water. So then you'd have these snow banks that come in, snow banks that come in, and snow banks that came in. And then that'd be beautiful. Then you could take your water. You look like you have dry water right here. You need to add a little bit more liquid white, then blue medium, and then streak in to create the beautiful planes. Also, don't forget you can reflect since your colors are radiating out in arcs, you can continue those arcs down into here. Hence, that would reflect the water and even add some color into your snow, which would look beautiful and natural, by the way, helping separate these snow banks out. Then you can have your rocks like you did, and you created these beautiful water lines. I would say scratch these water lines in a lot harder so they stand out, and then fade them in with a little bit of a fan brush. And there you would have really good an environment build that is simplistic. Now your trees need a lot of help. You got a lot of wet paint on wet paint. So since you're suffering with trees, you know a good trick is I would probably eliminate these two and just do one big tree here. Rather than spend 10 minutes and 10 minutes and 10 minutes on each tree, I would just build one gigantic tree right here and spend 1 hour to 2 hours on that one tree and really nail that one tree, rather than do 3 subpar trees, you know? Really work on doing it. Hey, Miles, thank you for joining our little wild community with that little light touch that you did. I appreciate it, bro. Oh, but you know what? I like this painting too. You guys come up with such cool ideas. I love stealing your ideas and then claiming them as my own. Thank you so much. You guys did fantastic. We got a lot of great artists today. A lot of great artists that showed a lot of cool things. And I appreciate the hell out of it. Oh, my. You sent me 2 of the people ones. Let me know if I should leave landscaping. I'll get back to you on them. But it's time for Uncle Wild / I don't know why I'm rubbing my nipples. I should be rubbing my tummy. I'm so hungry. So hungry. And I'm getting delusional, people. I'm getting delusional. But this was fun. Thank you guys so much for tuning in and having fun with our paintings that we did here. I love doing these little review sessions. It's really cool. It's really fun. I think you guys love it. I think it helps. I think it's very beneficial too. And I think it allows you all to see, like we said, different perspectives, different stages, but it also gives you kind of cool ideas. Like, I actually really, really like Zoid's idea right here for landscape painting. I mean, if you think about it, it's very simplistic, which I think is good. I think you can make it simplified a little bit more for him. But I love the gradients that we got going on. I love the simple distant tree line where light is shining through. And then I love the simple 3 tree idea on different planes, you know? Just stacking them in the right way would help out a ton. And just, you know, snowbanks. Like, that's a cool idea. Like, makes me want to take this and kind of do my own flair on it. In the future, how do you submit a painting for review? Twitter and Instagram are kind of the easiest for me, but it seems like some Instagram messages don't come through properly. I think it's because some people send them through a Facebook message. Twitter, I've never had a problem with, but you can always email me too, Miles. But I think I'm going to try to do this again next Saturday. I still want to try doing one during the day, like weekday. And I want to try doing one at night because I know a lot of my European people or Australian people or people in different Euro countries, it's like nighttime for them. They might not have that accessible to them. So I want to try mixing it up one of these times. But I'll let you know when I try a different time zone, time frame, whatever it's going to be. Okay? I want to thank you guys all for tuning in. Thank you for having fun. I'm going to go eat my body weight in breakfast right now. I'm not sure what I'm going to eat, but I think Benedict's is calling my name. That sounds kind of good right now. So thank you for tuning in. If you guys like what you see here, you can always do me a huge favor. Let me go a little big here. You can always do me a huge favor, and you can become a YouTube channel member. No joke, it's literally $1 a month. All that money just goes into me buying more art supplies so I can continue to bring you art content. So thank you. I think we might have hit 50 today. So thank you very much. Next goal is 75. And I would love nothing more in my life to become a sellout. Like, I would love to go to my 20th year reunion and just be like, what do you do? Oh, you're a doctor? Oh, cool. Oh, you're a successful lawyer? Oh, that's cool. Oh, you're Elon Musk? Oh, that's cool. You know what I am? You know what I do? I'm a sellout. I'm a sellout. And then I'm just going to, like, wipe my shoulder. And everybody's going to, like, be like, oh, fuck, dude, you're successful. I'm like, yeah, I know it. I sold out. I got, like, 17,000 YouTube members, bro. It's awesome. Yeah. I don't want world domination. I just want to be a sellout. So you can always hit the YouTube member. If you guys are watching this later, you can always hit super thanks on any of my videos. And at the very least, you can always comment, subscribe, like the videos. And I'll catch you guys all in the next one. We got some really cool videos coming up for the next couple of weeks. We're going to do some acrylic videos. And I'm going to try to do some art review or product reviews to help you guys out with your stuff. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. And I'll catch you all in the next one. Take care. And of course, peace.